keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. There's joy in the kingdom. Hey, I know it is. There's peace in the kingdom. Hey, yes it is. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. No matter what you're going through, Jesus got the keys for you. You can bind things on earth, it shall be bound in heaven. You can lose things on earth, it shall be loose in heaven. We will. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Ever you we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Keys to the kingdom. He had them for me and you. Keys to the kingdom, I know he do. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do, I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Joy, peace. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Peace. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you made the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you made the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord.
Blessings, everyone. Blessings and blessings. Good to have everyone here tonight, Thursday night, teaching, and we will be teaching on some good things tonight. And I'm just finishing setting up, making sure I got everything I need. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. Oh, excuse me. But it is good to be with you guys. And one of the teachers is here. The other one will be on real soon. And let's give it up for Miss Amber.
Hey, how's it going?
I am doing great. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm good. I did a podcast earlier today that I only found out about Wednesday night, and then some consultations, and then this here tonight. So it's a good day, productive, and getting to talk to a lot of people. So it's fun.
All right. And before we get started and let Amber loose, because we're gonna just work her, y'all. We just gonna work her until the other one come, and we just gonna work them both tonight. But I was doing a live earlier today, and in that live, I was talking about I met a gentleman, last name Marshall, running for state assembly in the district here where I live. And before I finish, I see the other troublemaker. Let's bring her on.
Yes, yes, I am a troublemaker.
The troublemaker over from Jefferson County,
Jackson.
Jackson County. When I
Don't
get
forget which
Jefferson,
president. I wish I was in Jefferson because I like Jefferson.
I know
Not too thrilled
Jackson
with
County.
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson County. I don't know why I get Jefferson. Oh, probably because Stacy them finna jump on. But if Stacy jump on, I'm calling the police on her because she's been doing mental abuse
Oh, with the pine cone.
with the pine
I
cone.
mean, with the restaurant that must not be named.
Yeah, with the restaurant that cannot be named, but she has been doing mental abuse and torture, and then she took pictures of cookies. And
Are you playing the victim here, Dr. King? Come on.
hey, sometimes we need to play
Whatever
victim.
works.
Yes. So I was talking to this gentleman. He's running for state assembly, and I just
In your
asked him
district?
in my district, and I just asked him some basic questions like CRT and SEL, and what was your stance on that? And at the time, I didn't know which ticket he was running on, and
Okay.
then all of a sudden, I saw the ticket after he called me back, and we was talking. Then I saw it was sponsored by RAC and the Republican Party, and I'm sitting there
no.
like, "Oh, you're a Republican," and
Oh.
I asked him about CRT and SEL, and he danced around the question. Then I asked him about transgender, and he said, and this is where it got me. He says, anybody can do whatever they want with their body.
Yeah.
And then I said, can you define to me what is a woman? Since you telling me anybody can do what they can with their body, define and tell me what is a woman. He danced around the question again.
Yeah.
And I said, what if your son came home from school? First I said the daughter, and then I said, no, let's go even lower. Let's take your youngest son that's in this picture. And he came home from school and said, Dad, I don't want to be a boy anymore. I want to be a girl, and I need you to call me Michelle. What would you do? He danced around it again.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you and the party is scary
Yeah.
because you don't sound like a Republican. You don't sound conservative.
No.
You just somebody they went and picked up to run for that seat.
Yep.
And
Does he check any of the intersectional boxes?
I don't even know, to be honest. I don't know.
I find that people like that tend to they fill some sort of victim box, and that's that, and it could be completely wrong. It could be just a regular old person who decided they wanted to run on a certain ticket.
Yeah, but they're
Didn't
funding
read the platform.
but they're funding his campaign, and they're sending out flyers and everything about his campaign. And so my problem, when I asked him about abortion, he didn't pass the test when it came to abortion.
Did you ask him what kind of government we have?
I didn't even get that close because I was too busy dealing with And then he said, um, he sounded so much like the liberals to the fact he said, well, I feel everybody should be able to do whatever they want with their body. And I said, but what about CRT and SEL? He danced around it.
Yeah. Yep.
And he tried to act like he didn't know what was going on with it. And I'm like, how are you running for office? You didn't have a primary. You had all this time to figure out what's going on in your district, in your area,
Yeah.
and you don't touch it.
Well, it's a type of tone deafness, right? They're like, we're gonna talk about climate change, and we're gonna talk about keeping Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and making sure we add more to our federal government burden by funding the special interest projects that we really like, right? I mean, where was I? That was it was at a committee meeting, and one of the ladies kept talking about, oh, these projects are so near and dear to my heart. And I was like, but that's not what your job is on
Right.
a committee. It's not to have an agenda for your special interest projects. It's how best you serve your community, and that includes the ones that you don't like, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
then
yeah,
I brought this up again on the podcast that I know I've mentioned on here before. Like, we really need to get some sort of diagram or chart, probably interactive, where you can click and open, windows
yeah,
for the like roles and responsibilities, definitions, terms, whatever, for each electable position and all of that stuff. So that there is no question what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing, and what's delegated to them to be doing and what is outside of their scope that they should not even be touching.
Yes.
yeah.
And so I just said it on the show. And I didn't mention one, and I need to mention him now so people understand. Ron Johnson has my vote. Tim Michaels has my vote. Eric Toney has my vote. Everybody else, I don't know if they real or Memorex.
I struggle with Eric Toney a bit.
Yeah, I just don't like Josh Call. So
Well, yeah, that's true. And here we are back again with the lesser of two evils, right?
exactly. And so
Yeah. This
but
hamster wheel's getting to be a bit old.
I know, right? And so, I tell people you need to do your homework and vote the person and not the party, because
Yeah.
if people that sneaking into the party is okay with transgender, same sex, and every time I try to ask him a moral question, he try to bring science up.
Oh dear. Yes,
So-
because science explains everything, right?
But
Science is God. Let's go with that.
I know, but if he's going to bring up science, then he should have been able to tell me what's a woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd think that's a pretty basic,
Well,
like 4-year-olds know
I
that.
have a new one. I do not know if this is a spoof that's going around or
dear.
if this is an actual thing. So I saw one this week that said, supposedly, so don't quote me on this because it could have been a spoof, all right?
Yeah.
That supposedly, in the womb, kids know like what their gender identity is. And I'm like,
Yes, that is actually some scientist or doctor or something is actually touting that as science.
right. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. I thought they weren't like human until after they're born.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand. Y'all hear that? That is one of my grandbabies calling me. Hey, Rob. Okay, but okay,
So cute.
I'm live doing a podcast, I'll call back. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, Riley.
So cute.
Okay, bye. Now, that grandbaby right there is a prophet. Let me tell you what she did.
What'd she do?
Well, her and her sister is almost 4 years older than her. So when she was 2, 3, she went to daycare and told the daycare, my mom is having a baby. And so when my daughter goes to the daycare, the teachers and everybody was like, congratulations, congratulations. Like, congratulations for what?
Oh no.
And
Yeah.
Taylor says, you having a baby. And she says, I'm not having a baby. Next thing you know, she was pregnant.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So the one just called me, that her name Riley. And Riley called me and said, Papa, I got a baby in my belly. And I'm like, you got what? I got a baby in my belly. I'm like, no, you don't got no baby. She was like, I do got a baby in my belly. She was telling me, she kept telling her mama this. And guess what happened? Last week, Friday, my daughter found out she's pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
So these kids are prophesying.
They are. Oh my goodness.
A lady I work with, her grandkid, she was watching her grandkid while she was knitting or whatever, a blanket for me when I was pregnant with my son. And I didn't find out the gender. I wasn't going to until he was born, so we didn't know it was going to be like a more gender neutral blanket. And her grandkid said, oh, she's having a boy. Just looking at the blanket, and we didn't know. None of us knew. And she told us like 6 or 7 other times, correctly identifying the gender of whoever is pregnant.
Wow.
Of their kid. So yeah, I believe it. This kid,
my oldest daughter was with me when I gave birth to my youngest daughter, because she was a preemie, and so we were supposed to have her at home, and it didn't work out. And the midwife who was at the hospital was not my usual midwife, and she kept talking about how, oh, you've got plenty of time, you've got a ton, you're not going into active labor for a while, you won't be pushing for a while. So she leaves for dinner, and everybody in the room is just going, okay. And me and my doula are looking at each other. I'm going, yeah, my body's almost ready. I'm just gonna let her eat, right? And my oldest daughter says by 6:45 that baby's gonna be here, and 6:43 I believe is when she arrived.
I'm telling you, these young ones are operating in their gifts right away.
Yeah.
And it's adult intervention that's stealing it away and letting them not harness it the way. Yeah.
So so that was my day talking to this guy.
Oh my goodness.
I was sitting there like, okay, I see right now we are in trouble because anybody, the Republican is not checking or questioning or asking any questions. They just take them and say, okay, you're running that area, so maybe we'll get more votes out of that area because you're running.
It's an infection throughout the entire party. If you look at on the national level, they have the CPAC or whatever, where they had a transgender booth at CPAC. It's like, okay, there might be a transgender conservative, although that sounds kind of like an oxymoron because the values are just not there, but you don't have a booth for them. Like, in a conservative, family-friendly arena, you don't have a booth for a transgender stripper. Like, that's just not how this works. This is this whole concept of this compromise. It's not love the sin or hate the sin. It's love it all and accept it all, and we're just gonna all get along, and because we need your vote.
Right. And tomorrow night, before I turn you ladies loose, tomorrow at 5:30, we're going to be at the barbershop.
Mm,
doing a barbershop live, and I am
great.
so ready for that. And uh, so many people we're going to be talking about, because the title is "Who's Coming to Save Us," which
Mm.
we already know ain't nobody coming.
Yeah, there's no one.
It's nobody coming.
Yeah.
Neither party is going to save us, and
No.
we already realize that. That is why it's important to vote individual. That's why it's
Yeah.
important to come back to the middle. That's why it's important to go back to the original, um, the founding fathers, right?
Yeah.
And do it the way they designed it to be done in the first place.
Yep.
Um, and you know, the founding fathers was prophetic. They knew
Yeah.
if you do this, this is what's going to happen. So, um,
Well, and part of it is they just knew their history well enough to know what would happen if XYZ.
Yeah, they
right,
understood human nature in a way that we really don't anymore, because we've
Yeah.
gotten into this post-truth idea of, well, I know we've talked about this before, of just everything, anything goes, right? It's freedom without restraint. That was what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about this whole thing. It's no, you don't have the freedom to do anything you want. That's not how it works. Freedom comes with a boundary, because there's a God-given boundary that allows you to enjoy the freedoms and liberties he's given you, in the best way. You know, I'm talking to my 5-year-old when he was asking me, can boys love boys? Well, yeah, but is that the best way? Is that the God way? No, it's not, right? So you've got to
They
look at
can
these
love them like a
questions.
brother.
Yeah, right. Or, you know, can you do anything you want with your body? Well, sure, but you're destroying it by not doing it God's way, right? And those are the types of things. And yeah, like you said, love them like a brother. Well, it's not true love if you are if the whole thing is wrapped up in your sexuality, because you're not holistically looking at the entire human being and seeing this, I'm more than just what kind of sex I like, right? Sorry for the family not friendliness. But this is the thing. We've so come away from the idea that freedom comes with healthy restraint
Yes.
and responsibility.
Yeah, and that's something that Chrisanne Hall touches on. And I think I got this from her, that liberty equals freedom plus morality.
Exactly.
Without one or the other, we do not have liberty.
Yep.
I actually made a graphic a while back on that. That literally is like just like a faded background that says liberty equals
Yep.
freedom plus morality. Boom.
Yep. Exactly.
and you know, when we talk about it like that, you know, we look at it and says, okay, we don't need morality.
Mhm.
We just want a liberty to be free to do whatever we want to do, because I'm not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
Well, you're not hurting anyone if you are just
Actively.
at your house doing it, and you're not trying to turn it into a law, make everybody else want to do it,
Mhm.
and all this other crazy stuff. You know, I did not know that whatever you like doing in the bedroom, now you can go make a law that everybody does it in the bedroom.
Yeah. Or that you're penalized if you don't do it in the bedroom that way, right? Like that seems to be the thing they're trying to push for now. If you're like, they're trying to criminalize the God-given benefits of a male and female relationship. Like they're trying to penalize that, like make it actually, that's the sin, right? And isn't that so, along with the line of scripture talking about, you know, the good becomes evil and evil becomes good. We've twisted
Great
and
reverse.
yep. So
And the thing about it is, when we allow them, because that's what we do, we allow them.
yes.
And we, nobody ever said anything. So the farther they went, like nobody says, do not legalize same-sex marriage, because if you do, you opening the door for immorality everywhere.
Well, I mean, it even goes before that. If you're talking about a slippery slope argument, it goes back to, do not legalize marriage. Marriage has no, the federal government has no control over marriage. You should not be handing out marriage certificates.
Marriages
That's
should
not your
not be
purview.
a three-party contract between
Exactly.
the marrying couple and the state.
Yep.
A marriage is supposed to be between the marrying couple and God.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yes.
It was so funny the other day.
Yeah,
Jake and I we were learning this, right? And Jake and I were talking about, so do we have to get divorced and then remarry under the ecclesiastical
I
law?
know some people who have dissolved their marriage like that. Now it is harder when you have kids involved.
Yes.
I will say, I'm not sure I would recommend doing it if you have kids, but I do know people. I don't know them personally, but I guess I should say I know of people who dissolved their state marriage license through a divorce and then got remarried with an ecclesiastical marriage.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things we have to think about. And maybe it's not for this generation. Maybe the next generation, we're just going to encourage our children, do not go to the state for your marriage license. You don't need that, right?
I'm even telling I tried to tell my sister and the last couple people in the last year that I know who have gotten married. I'm like, and I couldn't explain it well enough. And I know, Sarah, one of the people I talked to who I'm pretty sure went, and got a state marriage license too. And I'm like, don't do it. No. And it's just heartbreaking when you know what it means now. But all we can do is keep dripping truth and educating and like the whole 40-year thing, like we talked about last week. This is going to be an incremental thing that happens in phases and waves. It's not going to happen overnight, as frustrating as it might be.
Yeah, I know, because our first thought is I want to tear down all of these extra administrative offices, right? Like the DPI and
all the 3 and 4-letter organizations,
DHS, and all of these things. And it's like, but if you tear them down, you've got to have something to fill that vacuum, not more government, but something with a moral basis. That churches need to get back involved in this. Okay, we've got a plan for how we're going to deal with our community needs, right? We have a homelessness crisis here in Jackson County, right? We have mental health crisis, we have drug crisis, and right now that's the Department of Health and Human Services. That's not their purview. We shouldn't have that here. We should have the churches involved in these. We look after the poor and the needy. We look after the orphans and widows. That's our job, the body of Christ, right? So we handed that over to the government. So if we just try to tear it all down without having that backup, that church going, okay, we're filling this gap again like we should have been doing, then we're just going to fill it with other governmental
utter chaos and
anarchy and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, that's how it was when they were saying, okay, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. Okay, what are you putting in place?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your plan going forward? Oh, like when Tommy Thompson, he did welfare to work, right? He just stopped welfare. But all of those people that fell through the crack because you had nothing in place. And like you're saying, we got to have the churches to be back up and running instead of just having their doors open 2 days a week. They can have it open all 7 days a week.
Exactly.
And to deal with these kind of things. But, like you say, it's going back and training. And we got to let the Moses generation get out the way and the Joshua generation rise up and go forward because what's today? Thursday, Tuesday. I'm at a restaurant having a conversation with a young man who has already been brainwashed that it's a 2-party system. That's the facts. That's the reality. That's how it goes. And I was like, no, that's your reality, but that's not reality. Exactly. You accepted what they said, but that's not the reality. And he was like, well, yeah. I was like, well, no. It's not the reality. It's what they want you to believe is the reality. It's just like they saying, walking outside and you outside taking a walk and you got a mask on. And they're telling you this is the new norm. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's your normal because you accept that.
Yeah.
But what about the thousands and millions of people that says masks don't work? We're not wearing them. So is that their reality too?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yep.
And the thing that we have to do is we test the realities that people are portraying, right? And the ones that are founded in truth, that reality is going to last, right? Because you can only hide behind walls of lies for so long before it exposes itself. We're hearing about it right now, right? In the UK, they were just questioned. Pfizer was just questioned, or sorry, the company that created the jab or that thing,
One of them.
The
Yep.
carrot.
was just questioned in the UK. They didn't even send the CEO of that company. They sent a representative, and this representative literally says out loud, "No, we had no tests, no nothing in place. We were, what did they say? We were moving at the speed of science." It's like,
Science? What?
doesn't have a speed.
Yeah.
Science, if you do it in its purest form, is discovery and knowledge. And you weren't looking for knowledge. You weren't looking for truth. You were looking for what can we do to make money and gain power and enslave
Yep.
the global empire, right? And so this is, yeah.
Now,
So
ain't
yeah.
them the same ones? They say they finna press charges on everyone. That I saw a video where they was questioning, questioning the
something
carrot,
Yeah.
and
Basically
they
retracting everything.
Mhm.
And they're canceling like all contracts, and they're being forced to repay, or they're going to be forced to repay every contract of anyone who bought like the pokes.
yes,
Oh, wow.
and they said,
Because of this, what you and I saw, Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was like they was gonna be pressing charges on against them for against humanity or something like that. That they said, "Oh, we coming after y'all now,"
Yeah.
you know, and they said we coming after you guys and you guys' global agenda.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
think
like,
about this on a maybe a smaller, a more biblical scale, right? When the Israelites were going into the promised land, right? What was the first city they hit? Jericho. This massive city, massive wall. It's how many feet thick, it's how many feet high, right? It is just enormous. It's their first giant, right? And they almost fall at that first giant, and Joshua tells them, this is what you got to do. You got to walk around this wall, right? Just walk around it. And they walk silently for, what was it, 7 days. And on the seventh day, they walk around 6 times, and then they blow their trumpets and yell, right? And I don't know if there was a scientific explanation. Was it loosening the walls? Was it, putting cracks in it? I don't know what it was doing. Whatever it did, it was a God thing. But the idea was, is they were looking at this massive giant in their lives, and they were saying, it's not big enough to overcome the God of the universe. It's not big enough to overcome the truth, right? And that foundation, every single stone fell. There was not one stone on another. I know that's part of the temple thing as well, but like this was the thing, that their first giant fell, and they got to see, they had nothing to do with it other than taking a walk around it for 7 days. And so this idea of, we're looking at these giant companies, these giant organizations, this giant government, and we're saying it's too big. We can't overcome it. This is too much, right? And I'm thinking God's asking us to walk around the walls.
yep.
And just keep walking until he tells us to start shouting and blowing our trumpets.
And when I tell you to speak, I want you to speak and speak loud.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Could I, while
go
we're
ahead.
on the topic of truth and like perceptions of truth, can I share a graphic that I made really quick that I think really hits home?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. I haven't used the share thing in here. Share screen. Share window. Okay. Is it sharing? Oh, there it is. Thank you. So I said, know this. Truth is not uncaring. Truth just is. Projection is your own feelings that you attach to the truth.
Yeah.
And that, it's a hard pill to swallow because, and I'll stop sharing now. yesterday, yeah, today's Thursday. So yesterday I was on a call where someone who was a pastor in, one of his many 9 lives of other careers,
Mhm.
and he was dropping some truth bombs on us yesterday.
Mhm.
And what it was um basically stepping up, growing up, being an adult, being mature.
Mhm.
And one of the examples he gave was there were these 3 battalions, in training camp, basically.
Mhm.
And the first 2 would get dismissed for dinner, and they were only supposed to eat, like, 2 cookies or whatever, and leave. So the third group had some to have,
Yeah.
but they weren't. They were eating 5, 10, whatever. So there wasn't enough food for the third group when they finally came in for dinner. And so
Mm.
the third group thought they were being a leader, and went and told, like, the commander, whoever dude person,
Yeah.
about this, thinking they were taking charge and, like, trying to correct a wrong.
Yeah.
And what happened was that evening or the next day or something, the commander dude made each battalion, including the third one, basically do up downs and all these different you know brutal workouts until they
Mhm.
were, like, bleeding at the arm, the elbows and
Yeah.
stuff, digging into the ground and everything.
Yeah.
And at the end, it was like 3 a.m. and he asked them, "Does anyone have a problem?" And the guy who spoke up said, "No, no issue." And it was supposed to be a lesson that, you fix things amongst yourselves, or you know, drop the issue. Don't make it be an issue, because in real battle, in real war, you're not, you probably won't have enough food. You probably
Yeah.
won't be, but you need to work as a team.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that was a truth bomb I did not want to hear,
Yeah.
because I thought it was truly unjust that, follow the rules, dudes.
Yeah.
um,
Well, have you ever seen Remember the Titans?
Yep.
haven't.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good movie. It's one of the last really good movies that Hollywood decided to make. Like those inspiring sports movies, right? And I don't remember much of a woke agenda, but it was set during obviously the civil rights time frame, and this
Yeah.
football team was integrated, blacks and whites together and everything, and they were just not getting along. They were everybody, it was blacks and whites against each other. It wasn't they didn't have any cohesion as a team. And I remember the first time I watched it thinking, this coach is just, he's sitting back and just watching this happen, and I'm just so ticked off that he's not interfering. But as you go through the movie, it gets to a point where he is teaching, like he makes them do up downs, he makes them do 3 days and all of this football jargon to really work them and get them exhausted when he's seeing them not cohesive. But ultimately it came down to the 2 captains, one black captain and one white captain, who were like, we can't keep doing this. He's working us to the bone. We cannot keep doing this. And it finally clicked with them. It's because we're not working together. It's because we are not cohesive as a team, and he's going to keep doing this until we actually pick up the charge. And right, exactly. And it was so interesting. They in this one scene is so iconic. The white guy's like, you never do this, you never do this. He's the team captain, right? And he's like the all-American boy, is everything, he's got everything running for him, and he's basically
the looks.
right. And he's playing the victim, and he's going, I can't, what are we? And the black guy goes, a team? We're not a team. What are you talking about? He's like, we don't, I'm looking out for myself. And he goes, well, that's a bad attitude to have. The white guy goes, and the black guy goes, attitude reflects leadership, captain. And that just like, whoa, like, and it was just that was the turning point where they realized, I am setting the bar. I am setting the expectations of this team by my attitude and by my actions, or lack of action, right?
Yeah.
And so that was just like, it's such a great movie, and it's just, I love how they
I'll have to check it
ultimately,
out. I'm not usually a sports movie person.
neither was I, but this one's a good one.
And it's good because once they decided
Yes.
to come together.
Yeah.
One of the white guys, a friend, but he was on the offense, wanted
Yep.
to sit with them, and the
Yeah.
white guy said, "No, this is for the defense."
Yeah.
And he looked at him like,
Yeah.
"Dude, you turned on us." He said, "No,
Yeah.
we are a team. Go sit with the offense.
Yeah.
This is the defense side." But you know what? What was the amazing part for me was when they got together and they admitted, "I was scared of you." You
Yeah.
know,
So
it,
we're always
that,
scared
that,
of what's different.
yeah. But we both was good in our own way.
Yeah.
But I was scared. I was scared of you, because of what I was taught.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was
We're
scared
not
because
born
of
with
his.
fear. We're taught fear.
Yeah.
We're taught it. Yeah.
So
Sure.
and that's one of the things that I love about it, because I was taught, if you come up with the problem, I charge you with the solution.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
And that's exactly what we were trying to address yesterday, is that, if you have a concern, if you have a grievance, if you have an issue with something, figure out the solution, or figure out how we get to the solution at a minimum. Don't just be the squeaky wheel that, is whining and complaining, for a nicer way to put
Yeah.
it. And yeah, it's we have not seen the beginning of the battles yet. We are just at the tip of the iceberg of things brewing. And if we can't get along enough to get through this small beans crap for, it's just, we will not make it as a cohesive team for the big stuff if we can't get through this little stuff.
And that is why it's so important we come together now on only on truth, not what somebody said, not we got to stand on truth, because that's the only thing gonna last is truth. That's it. And so as coming together, right, knowing the truth, be open to receive the truth, and admit a lot of stuff we was lied on.
Yeah.
Look at the history they gave us in school compared to right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're seeing the logical outworking of it, and it's chaos and it's insanity. There's no climbing out of that pit, right? We dug ourselves deep, and now we've got to figure out a better way to live. And
All right, ladies. So let's get the party. Wait a minute. Let me see, which one do I want to use?
I'm coming out, so we better
there
get
you
the
go.
Started.
Get your mind ready. So whichever one of y'all gonna go first and start talking, go right ahead.
Well,
all right.
All I had prepped was I was gonna read off the whole thing and then jump right into like the pleading the fifth stuff, because that was relevant to me. So I will let you get into that first half, basically. The hard part.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to read the amendment, and then I've got one question, and then we can jump into the, Fifth Amendment and all that stuff. So no person, Amendment 5 of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. All right, so technically I've got two questions. I know that's a long amendment, but two questions. One, what is due process of law, and how does one get their life, liberty, or property removed without it? in this present, like, what is an example of what we see, how we see that being violated? And then also, what does just compensation mean?
I think we should wait and see if anyone responds.
Yeah, we got Patty on. Hi, Patty.
Yeah. So the pressure's on you, Patty.
Slow night.
To tell us.
Everybody's like, it's the Fifth Amendment. Who cares? But
Right.
unfortunately, it's a very important amendment.
It is. It is. And I have a lot to share on that second half. So
Yeah.
this is a huge one. I'm
Yeah.
glad you were potentially going to be late and forced me to actually like dig into it a little bit.
Yeah, I was looking for, some examples and stuff, and I found a couple that were rather interesting. Well, one of them's pretty basic, and I don't know, we might be getting we might be having a slow night, but for whoever's listening to this after we record it, or after it's done recording and everything. So my first example was the TSA in the airports, right? How many times do they deprive you of your life, liberty, and property when you go through those?
And your property includes your body.
And your property includes your body. It includes those little pocket knives on your keychain you forgot to take off before your flight. It includes your soap and shampoo that was too big of a bottle, right? All of those, it's depriving you without due process of law, right? We have the Patriot Act that all of a sudden gave the government the ability to come in and enforce an attack on our rights, on our God-given rights for security and safety purposes. And yet there was no due process of law. Most people who go through airports are not criminals, right? They're not holding their pocket knife in the hopes of starting a fight on a plane. They, whatever it is, those are the types of things that we don't think about. That is, we were deprived of something that was ours, that was God-given right that we have. And then just compensation. So there was a story about a woman who the federal government found a what are they called? Not, oh my gosh, the animals that are rare, that are
endangered.
Thank you. Found an endangered bird on her property. Her property was worth $1 million. Federal government came in and stated that they were protecting the habitat of this endangered bird, and therefore her property was under the control of the government. She could still live on it, but they were protecting this bird, and therefore her property went from $1 million value down to $30,000. And so, yeah, so there was no just compensation. They didn't pay. In fact, they made her pay for their protection of a bird's habitat, which really shows you where their value of human life is, right?
Yep. And this stems back to the fact that, and I don't remember when this happened, maybe one of you guys know or the listeners know, but probably around a century ago now, I'm guessing, we stopped actually owning our property and instead owning the right to use our property.
Yep.
And that's a shocker for a lot of people. But if you look at your title, or your documents, you're really a resident.
Yep.
You're a resident. That does not mean you are a landowner.
Right.
You are a user.
Yep.
And
a squatter, basically, on government-owned land.
Yep. Unless you have property that has literally been handed down for about, was that 3 or 4 generations now?
Mm-hmm.
Go back 100 years. I'm terrible at that kind of math, but I think it was 1910 actually is when this really started. So if you have family-owned property that has stayed in the family from before 1910, you are probably one of the few exceptions that actually has a homestead.
Yeah.
Everyone else has state-owned, private use property.
Yeah.
It's seriously messed up. You don't have a right to decide what you do to the property, but you have a right to choose what you do on the property.
Yeah.
And most of us aren't aware of that. So yeah, that's how they get away with stuff like that.
Is that where they're coming in with like the zoning regulations and all of that stuff? Yeah, I was talking about that because I'm a county board member and I'm on the tax deed or the tax deed thing, and they talk about the different zones and how we as a county can actually choose to say disapprove of somebody who wants to change their forestry land to a residential land. And that seems like a lot of power to give 19 board supervisors
who have no,
no personal
impacted on what happens to that property.
Yeah, we have no personal investment in this property, and yet we're making the decision for these people who
are there.
Yeah,
I was going to say, are there ways, and you don't have to answer this, but something to ponder. Are there ways that you guys as board members can help to try to reverse some of these things, or what level do we have to get to get some of these things reversed that are like so unconstitutional? Not, you don't have to answer right now, but it's something to ponder.
Yeah, no, it's been something I've been thinking about because a lot of the committees that I am a part of are dealing in areas of private rights that I firmly believe are very wrongly held. And it's one of those things that I'm really wrestling with my conscience on, like as a county board member, what type of decisions do I make in this? And we were talking about like the recent issues with ATVs, right? And how they're supposedly all-terrain vehicles. Well, it's ATVs, UTVs, and something else. And they're trying to get the county roads open for all-terrain vehicles. Well, we've got to balance this with a person's personal rights, right? But also the danger that those vehicles are not only exposed to, but expose others to, because they're not made for, it says all terrain, but they're not made for flat top surfaces. And so there's far greater risk of accidents and all of these things. Well, I've got to wrestle with that because that's, my first instinct is, well, it's their personal right. They have a right to drive that wherever they want, right? But then we get into, well, if they drive on the public roads, then they're technically under state law, and therefore they have to be enforced by the county laws, and they have to have a license for this, so we're going into all of these things that are very unconstitutional.
Even are those licenses? Yeah,
exactly. And are those licenses constitutional, right? Are property taxes constitutional? These are all things that I'm struggling with as a county board member, understanding the Constitution the way that I do, and realizing that I'm making a lot of decisions that go completely contraindicative of what the Constitution ultimately says. And so, that's right. It's definitely one of those things that, how am I going to do this with integrity? And I can't change it by myself, but at the same time, can I start filling people's ears with the truth, right? And bringing things up in county board meetings and asking the right questions. I did this at the Department of Health and Human Services just recently. They had this community health assessment. I was asking, who took the assessment? Okay, 1,500 people out of 21,000. Okay, that doesn't give us a big... They said it's a great, that's a big amount of people. No, it's not.
That's pretty much the staff, the entire staff of what, like Crohn Clinic and the hospital and maybe one other place. That's
yes. And the irony is it's fully skewed towards highly educated women in the 20 to 40 year range, right? So you're missing out on a huge swath of the population. They didn't touch on the Amish. They didn't touch on anybody.
I'm in that demographic, and I would have not agreed with, what their results were. I would have
exactly
different.
Exactly. And they didn't have any statistics from 2021 because apparently they're not out yet. And so when you're making comparisons and contrasting and all of these things with community health, public health, and seeing the overreach of they're looking at all these steps for how do we fix this and how do we fix this? And I asked them at the end of it, I said, okay, so I noticed the main factor in health wasn't even addressed in this, and that's the spiritual health of the community. What are we doing for the spiritual health? And they were like, well, we've talked about it within our own circles and groups and work groups, but it wasn't mentioned, and so they didn't even assess that aspect of it. So, you know, again, you have to be careful because you can't, like I said, it's not just Christians I'm looking at what is the spiritual health of the community overall. Do people have a body of members that they agree with and that they can interact with, that help with mental health, that help with all of these issues that we're facing, because those resources should come first, not the Department of Health and Human Services, if anything, should be a last resort, and it's usually the first resort.
It is, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is where we're talking about all of these things where it is so, again, was it last week we were talking about being within the counterfeit right now. We don't know what real looks like because we've been in the counterfeit for so long. Yeah. And so this is it. I'm not going to change anything in my first year as a county board member, but I can start putting little earworms in people's ears, start asking these questions. And it's not going to make me very popular. I can guarantee that. I'm pretty sure I'm the only unvaccinated person on the whole the whole Department of Health and Human Services board.
Oh, that I believe. I believe.
Yeah. So it's kind of
and
fun.
If you're not,
you
will not get the others who aren't to out themselves.
Oh no.
They are very well, in their little pretend, like, oh yeah, I'm caught up with.
Yeah, exactly.
With
it's one of those things. How am I going to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove, right? and not bully my way into the truth, but be gentle and be loving in how I ask. And a lot of it comes down to asking those questions. A lot of these things, people are like, I never thought about that before. And it's like,
exactly. And I was going to say something else that goes along with that is going back to like the handbooks of what you're supposed to be complying with in your roles, and being like, well, I was just reading, and is this in alignment with this?
Yeah.
Or, helping them get back to their logical brain instead of, the tagline that they've been told. It's like getting back to what we're supposed to be doing and doing it from this place of curiosity. Like the more we can do that, the more we can come from this place of curiosity. And I've noticed questions are great too.
Yeah.
One other thing I've noticed is I call feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. I used to feel the same way, and then I found.
Yeah.
And that's a super helpful tactic too. But the questions, the more you can ask open-ended questions and get them thinking, you're doing awesome things. I know you are.
Well, I'm praying like anything, and I will gladly embrace your prayers for me as I encounter these types of situations and feel sometimes stuck in the middle of everything. How it feels overwhelming at times. How do I make a difference? How do I make a change if I'm the only one speaking up on these things, right? But maybe, like I said, just maybe there's one person in that crowd that goes, oh, that's really logical. I need to think through that, right?
Anytime you got somebody thinking, you're doing a great thing if they're thinking. And the problem is we don't want people to think because that's hard work, but just go along. Don't ever question why. Yeah. I tell people we got to be like a kid, right? Yep. A kid says, why is the sky blue?
Yep.
Why is the
Yes. Yeah. And they just keep going. And then you say, well, because of this, my husband was perfect at this, especially with our oldest kid. She would ask why 1,000,001 times. And she would start with the topic and he would say, because of this. And he'd explain it in, little kid language. And then she would go, but why this? And he'd go, okay, because of this, and so he just keep taking it back. He finally got to the point where he's like, okay, Bella, it's God.
Right.
Ultimately, it's God.
There's something, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but if you can answer why 6 times, you actually know the answer to the issue. Or I don't remember how it's worded, but it's something to that effect. And I'm like,
but if I give the same answer,
all 6 times,
if it answers all 6 levels of why, I guess maybe, but.
Well, and one more thing I wanted to say about the whole, being involved in the political sphere is It's so easy to get wrapped up in, well, these people are evil, or these people are, they have an agenda. Not everybody does. A lot of people, and I'm noticing this in many places, they are so caught up in the counterfeit because that's what they grew up in. This is what they've been taught. This is how it's supposed to go, right? They don't realize there's a different way. And two, they genuinely, within that counterfeit world, they genuinely want to help people, and they genuinely want to make a difference in their community.
Exactly.
And so it is not always a political agenda in linked into it.
At the very
they're not my enemy.
Level,
yeah,
it probably is, but
right up high
stuff that we interact with on a daily level. No, you're right.
Yeah,
and that's where when parents are, when I'm working with parents who are creating private education associations or children's ministries, and they're opting their kids out of the public domain education system.
Yeah.
We strongly urge you, make your letter of notice very pleasant, because there is another person, another human being on the receiving end of that letter who is just doing what they know to be true and what they believe they're supposed to be doing. And it's not their fault. So thank them for fulfilling their obligation, to take on that responsibility in the public domain. Thank them for the obligation, because they're just doing their job. They don't know any better. And when you don't know any better, you can't do any better.
Right. And in their worldview, they're doing their best to care for our kids, right? They're doing their best to teach them what, the things they're supposed to teach them and all of those things. And so, so it's not looking at these people as an enemy. And I'm speaking to myself as well, because it's that's my first, like, fighting words, I want to get in the ring and box it out. Right. That's that's been my MO in the past, and I realized that there is something, and it's Jesus talks about it over and over again. Look at how he addressed people, right? Obviously there were times when he was talking to the higher ups, the leaders, and he was telling them, you're a den of vipers, you're whitewashed tombs, right? He was cursing them, right? Because of who they, but it was because they were at the leadership level, and they were the ones leading them astray. They knew better. And the ones who came to him genuinely, who followed him, who gave up meals to follow him and listen to him speak, right? Those were the ones he was so tender with. Even with Peter, I mean, there was a couple times when he called him out because he was being a hothead, but for the most part, even with Peter, he was like, do you realize what you have, the gifts and the abundance that I want to give you, right? He was always so tender with the people who were on those levels, who thought they were doing it right, think about the Samaritan woman. She was just like, yeah, I've got 5 husbands, right? And he's like, well, yeah, you do, but the one you're living with isn't your husband, right? But he's like, I've got something better, right? And that was how he always approached it. There is something better, something that is in my purview to give you, and all you have to do is reach out and accept it.
Well, you got to see, Peter had a hood mentality. He came from the hood. Peter came from
that. I mean, yeah, he was definitely a hothead.
Yeah, he was from the hood. He pulling out swords, ready to cut your head off. And
he had a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
But that's where, like, there's and I will never name names because it's not my place, and it's between them and God. But there is a person relatively local to us who he is very, very aggressive in his communication. Oh, Sarah's nodding. I think
I know. Well, I've got a few people like that in mind. Yeah,
and it's like, flies honey in vinegar, and you will not get the millennials. You will not get the Gen X and Gen Zers. You will not get the on the fencers if you continue to act in such an aggressive manner.
Yeah,
like that kind of behavior turns me away, and I am full-fledged a freedom lover, liberty lover, and defender.
Yeah,
but that kind of attitude is just like, how dare you? How dare you treat me like I'm sub to you? You are not my husband.
I am not my superior in any way, shape, or form. Right? Yeah.
In fact, what you're saying does not even make sense.
Right.
And
do it our way, or we taking the basketball and going home.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it comes down to how they interpret scripture, how their worldview is shaped by how they interpret what their job is as a Christ follower, right? And it's
And
like
also probably some generational trauma.
there's some
of it.
generational stuff. Yep. And there's definitely definitely different factors involved with that.
Yep.
And so again, we treat them with compassion, but there are times when we have to say, you need to stop. You need to
Yep.
back away because you are turning people off to the truth. They are not going to hear you. They've immediately shut you out. I've shut you out and I know the truth. Like, you know, like, this is all done, right? You're intimidating and you're a bully and that's it. And
we do not have space for that kind of
No.
behavior in this
it's
movement.
toxic. It's toxic behavior.
Right. And you know, we have to have for the job. I like to call it the Joshua generation. I don't want to give them an alphabet because we do, then they might join LGBTQ. So we call
I call it the alphabet soup too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we got to have that conversation and get them to understand that, okay, you got some truth, but your truth is contaminated. Let me break it down to you so you understand the real truth, right?
Yeah.
And like one guy, he was like, well, we got to start a civil rights group. I said, no, because the same ideas you're trying to start, it's the same ideas that got us in this mess.
Exactly.
Because they was not for us, they was for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They just used it's I mean, when you look at it, they push abortion, they go get a black person.
Mm-hmm.
They push same-sex marriage, they go get a black person.
Yep.
They push pedophile, they go get a black person.
Yeah.
Every time they want to push something that is not righteous or godly or anything, they go get a black person. And then there's a video. I don't know if y'all seen this video. Oh my God. I'm not even going to talk about this video. But yes, I am. This video is so, to me, it gets me upset because this is what they're trying to say the black community is. And they have a transgender guy in the video saying, if you don't vote, you can't hit this butt. Oh.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah. It's okay. It's like the feminist movement that's like, okay, we're going to withhold sex from men because there were until we get our equal rights, right?
Yeah.
After Roe v. Wade, and you're like, okay. We didn't want it anyway.
Right?
And it's called No Voting, No Boking.
Yes.
I
know.
saw it.
Was that it was a rapper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
VUCKING.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the guy says, if you don't vote, you can't hit this booty.
Okay.
It's okay. I didn't want to anyways.
Yeah, that was
exactly
not anywhere in the top 5,000, 5 million things that I ever thought of.
I'd rather let the species go extinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they
I mean, we're the last man on earth.
Exactly. So here it is. You got immorality running around because number one, people are ignorant. They don't know their rights. They don't know what they can have. They don't know what to do. So they just go along with whatever comes, and to pour that onto a community, right? And says, okay, this is how we're gonna portray you guys. This is how we. This is what we need because we need your votes. So we need to talk to the young people because we're teaching the young people it's okay.
Have you ever noticed when people are like, I want my autonomy, they're usually part of a tribe that wants their autonomy. But when you talk about I want my freedom with responsibility, there's a lot more individualism. And those two things are so completely different, right? Like I am an individual. I'm made in the image of God. There are 6 billion of us and none of us are at all alike. And yet we all share a common race. We share common blood. We share a common God, right?
Yes.
And so these are the types of things. Yes, we have commonalities and we want to unify under those commonalities, but not if it tribalizes us and makes us into hierarchy of classes, of people, of superior and inferior, of slave and free, of, if that's where we're going with it, if we're trying to use all of those what do they call those immutable characteristics to define us,
Right.
or if we're trying to use our sexuality to define us. And this is the sad part about, I think the saddest part about the public education system has gotten so enmeshed in teaching kids that their identity comes from somewhere inside of them, right? Some of their feelings and their, you know, what they believe themselves to be. You can be anything you want to be, right?
Truth, because
There is
your
a bit of
identity
truth.
is unique to you, given by God, but
Right.
they took it too far.
Right, but our identity is ultimately in who made us, who created us, right?
Exactly.
And so therefore, yes, we find our own individual characteristics, our personalities, all of those beautiful things that God created.
Like, I should not be looking to you, Sarah, for validation for who I am, or to you, David, you know, for validation for who I am. So in that way, like, I understand where it came from.
Yeah.
Because we do, you know, because we are such a social, you know, creature, we, you know, do gravitate toward that gratification, that permission.
Yeah.
Because we have not been taught how to get that connection with, you know, the one that created us.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is when I talk to a couple of them, right? And they be like, the government needs to take care of everybody. You just need to take care. So I say, okay, I tell you what, I'm gonna move in your house. I'm not gonna pay no bills. I'm not gonna buy no food. I ain't gonna do anything but just lay up on you. And then I'm gonna go get me my girlfriend, and we all gonna lay up under you. How long you gonna let me do that? You're not doing that at all. Ain't nobody living off me. I say that again.
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah, I saw a video going viral last week, a couple weeks ago, where this guy was interviewing people about, there was like this protester rally, you know, trying to support the refugees, basically. It was what you know, and this guy was interviewing them, be like, well, you know, you want people to open their doors and let these people, you know, bring these people in, take care of them. Do you, you know, are you going to do this? Do you have room in your house? Like, are you going to take someone in and adopt a refugee? And they're like, oh, I don't have room for that, or that someone else needs to do that. It's like,
oh, if I had the money, I would, but I don't.
Or I rent an apartment and you can't sublease, and excuse after excuse after excuse, because they want their freedom, but they want other people.
Right. And they don't want the responsibility on them.
Yeah.
Like Martha's Vineyard or something.
Martha's Vineyard. Oh my gosh. Did you see the pictures of them like serving like off-brand Rice Krispies in paper bowls or styrofoam bowls on the porch? They wouldn't even let them in the house. They had to eat out on the porch. Yeah. It's like, oh, thank you. That's
rules for thee, but not for me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, we got so off topic.
We totally did.
I know.
I mean, it's just, it is crazy though. And I think we were going on to the idea of, you know, all of the aspects of our God-given rights that we do not understand, and therefore we're living within this counterfeit. And so so we'll bring it back because you have something to talk about with like Miranda rights and those types of things. So I'm gonna let you.
Yes. So I'm gonna read my notes from my How to Win in Court course, because I think I have them summarized enough that it's not considered plagiarism. But just for the record, what I am reading is from How to Win in Court Without a Lawyer by Dr. Frederick Graves. It's an awesome course, phenomenal. So what I have is that the Fifth Amendment pertaining to, let's see, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. Okay, so that's the kind of area we're talking about here.
Yep.
That part of the Fifth Amendment is considered a privilege.
Yes.
So when you're studying this course and studying law, it is a privilege to take advantage of your Fifth Amendment rights, or also known as your Miranda rights. And most of us know know our Miranda rights. It's, you know, your right to
remain silent and
something that I found that was really interesting though in looking up the Fifth Amendment and Miranda rights,
Yeah.
there's this Newark case from 2010, and I'm gonna butcher the first last name. It's Burgess. It's Berghuis versus Tompkins.
Burgess versus Tompkins. I actually know just a very tiny little bit about it. So go ahead.
Yep. And it seriously, I'm gonna say this carefully. It seriously effed up the whole Miranda rights thing.
Yep.
Basically what happened is this guy stayed silent for most of the interrogation, and all of a sudden he answered one question and then realized he needed to kind of try to retract it. Yeah. But by answering that one question after like 3 hours of interrogation, they took it under the assumption that he was waiving his rights, his Miranda rights.
Yep.
And so this is where that Chris Ann Hall right to trespass document that I shared last week, and I can find the link again afterward, but that document, read it, because she summarizes how this applies to us. Yep. In not answering questions, not letting people into our homes and our private properties, yep. And not providing evidence against ourselves. So what I have in my notes is that the Fifth Amendment privilege is a privilege against self-incrimination and putting you in jeopardy of criminal prosecution only. It cannot be used just because you don't want to testify. It cannot be used if the testimony will just cost you money or make you feel embarrassed or goes against your wishes. Like, it's not about feelings. It's not about money. If your testimony could criminally prosecute you by something you share, you have the right to the Fifth Amendment and, your Miranda rights. Also, if you're offered immunity, this privilege, the Fifth Amendment privilege, disappears because there's no threat to self-incrimination anymore. So I thought these were really interesting. So you never want to assume that you can hide behind the Fifth Amendment was kind of like the last thing in the notes. So yes, we have our Fifth Amendment rights, but we have to be very specific in knowing what it pertains to and what does not pertain to. Yeah. You can't just use it if you don't want to testify as a witness, whether in your own or another case.
So you telling me I can't sit there while they asking me questions and just do like Congress and say, I plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth.
Yeah, most of that kind of stuff is out of the movies. It is not reality in how things actually work in the real court systems. Yeah, unless what you are sharing would criminally incriminate you, you have to answer, basically. Yeah. Now,
so like when we were here's a good court. Sorry, I was gonna just the I don't know, a lot of us watched the Kcow Rittenhouse case. And so I know there was a lot of discussion about, they don't usually make the witness testify against himself and that sort of thing. Yeah. But I thought bringing him into it was actually good because it got information out there and they saw a real live human as opposed to just some killer with a gun, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you can waive your rights and do that. What I'm finding out in the study group is that most of the trials that we see on TV, like Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, they're not real courts in terms of how courts are actually supposed to function. Okay. And part of that, too, is we need to hold the courts accountable for the rules. A lot of the things I'm learning, if you look up federal rules of evidence and federal rules of procedure, those documents, when you actually start digging into it, they're not actually that complicated. It sounds super complex, but what I'm doing is I have the PDF of those open on half my screen, and then I have the How to Win in Court course on the other half of my screen. And a lot of the times he's actually referencing which federal rules, but the way he has it laid out, it's pretty much in line with the federal rules. He may have done that on purpose, but so what I'm doing in my notes is I'm writing down my notes from his descriptions, and then I'm going over into the federal rules and actually writing in my notes which federal rules apply.
Okay.
And it makes it just so easy to reference.
Yeah.
But I do want to connect this to Chris Ann Hall's right to trespass document, because what I'm sharing is specifically in the courtroom. Now, obviously, if there's a knock on your door kind of stuff well before the courtroom,
Yeah.
Your Miranda rights, your Fifth Amendment rights absolutely do apply.
Yeah.
And you should be taking advantage of them. And that's where Chris Ann Hall's document comes in handy, because she specifically just lays it out like a script pretty much. And so if anybody does not have that document, go find it. I can share the link again. I've
got to get it laminated, but I've got it printed off already. So
well, at least get in a sheet protector for now.
Yeah.
But get it and have it easily accessible. I mean, I'm even saying hang it by your door.
Let me ask you ladies a question, because I've been watching off and on the trial of the gentleman that drove through
Waukesha
parade, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was just an SUV drove through the parade.
Well,
there was a person behind the wheel.
I know, right? And
Sorry.
so
I didn't mean to make you choke, Amber.
I enjoyed that.
I'm sorry. I'm feeling a bit spicy tonight.
I see.
I like it.
But I see. I'm watching it, right, and I'm like, do he really understand his rights and
have they properly explained his rights? Because that's an issue too. If you are not properly explained your rights, you can actually hold them accountable to that too.
Yeah,
because I'm just watching it, and I'm just watching the trial, and I'm watching and then he says some things, and I'm like, oh wow, why would he say that? And so for me, I think they just playing and going through the emotions, like they really allowing him to have a trial, because they already got in their head, he's guilty. Yeah. We just gonna let him do this because, quote unquote, this is his right. So we're gonna nail him. We're gonna drop the bomb on him, Yeah. But we're just allowing him. Now, answer me a question though. To have the jury of my peers, okay, and there's not a black person on that jury. Is that going against his rights?
Right? Is that really a jury of your peers? I can understand that.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, so there was, I'm trying to remember where I read this from, and I'm gonna have to go back and see my notes again. But there was I think it might have been not a documentary, but some sort of course I was taking or whatever on the law and everything, and it was talking about the jury of their peers and the intent behind that. And these, when we think of peers now, you think of like students in school, right? The peer pressure, peer groups, right? Back then, when they talked about peers, they talked about the people who knew you in your community, the people who could attest to your character.
Exactly.
The people who could sit on that jury and give an unbiased view of who you were, not unbiased as in, I don't know this person, but unbiased as in, I do know this person. I do know his character. And yes, he's guilty, or no, he's not guilty, based on the evidence that we see and based on the character behind him, right? That was what a jury of the peers was. Your peers were the people that you interacted with, who knew you, people from your church, people from your work, people who could give a testament of your character.
And today, every single one of those people you just listed would be disqualified immediately.
Exactly.
Because they're biased.
Yeah.
Because they knew you, and their opinion of you could invalidate any
color. Yep.
Any potential evidence.
Yeah.
Incriminating or not incriminating.
So should they take?
I mean, think about how good they're doing now. I mean, obviously Kyle Rittenhouse got off with not guilty, but what would have happened if they had completely packed that court with everybody who didn't know him but was involved in that night, right? as opposed to what about the jury of the people who did know him, right? Would we have gotten different outlooks on it, and would they have been able to say, yes, I know this boy, I know the intention behind what he was doing there, I've seen his character, right? I babysat him, I changed his diaper.
It could have been like that. He probably could have countersued and kicked butt.
Yeah.
Honestly, and just won that with a landslide.
Hands down, yeah.
So then, should we remove that phrase, a jury of your peer?
Well, it doesn't have the same definition anymore.
I know, because I was saying if I got in trouble, I want all pastors on the jury.
Yeah.
Those are my peers, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody
want people on there who know you, but who are going to be honest about you, right? And this goes back to the moral issue. We don't have a moral society, and therefore we don't have peers who would say, yes, I know this person, and yes, based on the evidence, he's guilty. We would say, we'd have probably more of the other side where it's, yes, I know this person, and I'm going to vote that he's not guilty, even though I know the evidence is against him, right?
Right.
That is where we've gotten so far away again in the counterfeit that we cannot have an unbiased jury of peers, because the jury of peers would either side with them or try to criminalize them, even if they were innocent, right? Depending on who, how you sway it. And so, yeah, I mean, and think about even just the justice system the way it is. The jury was supposed to decide your fate. Now judges can sit there and go, okay, I accept that you decided.
And actually, they're not supposed to, but
well, I mean, in the sense
they do.
the jury is supposed to, how is it supposed to, where the judge can now can change the
like the judgment or the
recommendation,
right, but that was not ever how it was supposed to be. So yeah, so that the court system's so screwed up, and we've lost our meaning of the original intent.
Yep. And that's so much why the more I'm digging into this course, the more I think every single adult should take this course, because from your speeding ticket to big court stuff, whether it's family court or whatever, criminal court, civil court, knowing the rules of court, holding them accountable to how even the judges are supposed to be behaving.
Yeah.
They're not going to like it. I'm going to guarantee that they won't necessarily like it. But if they don't, then that puts them in jeopardy of being reversed in an appeal. And they really don't want that, because that tarnishes their whole reputation then.
Yeah.
If an appeals court, reverses their judgment.
Yeah.
So in that process, right, will this gentleman that's on trial now, will he have an opportunity to appeal?
I'm sure. It really depends. Like, everyone technically has a right to appeal. Whether it goes through and whether it gets appealed, that's an entirely different story, because it depends on what admissible evidence gets into court, and that is huge. A lot of stuff that gets into the court record is not considered admissible evidence. Even the rules on hearsay, which I've not even gotten to yet. There are so many exceptions, and then exceptions to the exceptions with hearsay alone, and that's in the federal. Not even just your jurisdiction. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that an appeals court is going to be taking into consideration. Yeah. But if you don't have admissible evidence supporting your facts, appealing will not do anything.
Yeah.
So,
it reminds me of that verse. Oh gosh, is it in the Proverbs where it talks about the first man who gets up to argue a case sounds right until the second man gets up to, my thought is, and this is my ideal, rainbows in the sky worldview, is, if we just read the Bible and maybe read a few Proverbs, we'd probably figure out how to work out a justice system again. Because it lays it out pretty well. You have two or more witnesses, you have argue your case, and then the second guy gets up and argues back, right? And like,
And if we went that way, we could probably include a lot more of what I was taught in my mediation courses too, about circle processes and creating solutions. And we also wouldn't necessarily have some of these repeat offenders either.
Yeah.
Because one, the actual community themselves are holding the person accountable and providing support to correct the issue. It's not just go rot in jail and somehow miraculously learn your lesson while you're behind, bars in this cold room. Like,
but some people, they just talk too much. If you accuse me of something, you have to present it. Right? You're accusing me. So I'm not going to help you hang me.
The burden of evidence or burden of proof is on you, right?
Right.
So, and again, we've got that twisted around, right? No longer is it guilty or innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until you're proven innocent, if you get proven innocent.
Right. And the way they got it, like this one man, he was a basketball coach. He was coaching girls basketball. And he disciplined one of the players and was like, nope, you're not playing. And she lied on him and said he touched her. When they finally went to court and found out he didn't do it, she only said it because he didn't let her play.
Yeah.
The whole town turned on him.
Yeah.
Just because she said something. And we see it all the time in politics and everything. Somebody say you killed a cat, and every person that's a cat lover hates you until they find out the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, I thought I was innocent until proven guilty.
Yep. And you know what? The burden is actually on the plaintiff. So whoever is the one filing the motion or, filing the claim, the burden is actually on them to prove all components of, all elements are proven with facts, with admissible evidence.
Yeah.
Well, the burden is not necessarily on you to prove it wrong. The burden of proof is on them to prove what they're saying is true. But you have to hold them accountable to it with affirmative answers and, a flurry of motions, getting things dismissed or all these different things. And it's way less complicated than I ever thought it could be. That's not to say there's not a lot of components still, but defending your rights is largely becoming a very easy concept once you start learning.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things, and we're giving you, both Sarah and I, and I'm sure Dr. King too, like, we're giving you resources on places to start digging on where to find the answers to defending your rights. Starting with your state and U.S. constitutions, starting with all these resources and these books that we're providing. Like, don't just listen, don't just hear the names of them and expect you to know what the answers are automatically. Like, buy the book, read the book. Sorry, Dr. King, we're not telling you to buy any more books right now.
Be like Dr. King and weep over your empty pocketbook.
But invest in your knowledge. And
people, y'all got to give me free knowledge. I can't take all of this. I mean, you are right though. We
get what you pay for, Dr. King.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, we have to invest, because all of this is an investment in your freedom. That's what it really is.
Yeah, exactly. And so, how much is that freedom worth to you, really? Those are the two questions you gotta ask. How much is my freedom worth? And what am I going to do to make sure that not only I stay free, but my kids and my grandkids and the next generation stay free, right?
Right. So you're going to have to spend the money. But
we don't get that vacation to Disney World this year.
They're all evil too, with their
hidden
messages and not so hidden messages and agendas too.
So I'd rather take the money and not give it to Disney and feed
build
their
your
knowledge.
Personal library.
Yes, and so when you guys, like you said, the books, the researches, the links of where you can go and look it up for
This is
yourself.
free, Dr. King. This is free. You don't have to buy this.
Right?
I do gotta buy it. Oh, but I'm gonna show you what I do have. So y'all keep talking. I'm going to get.
Okay.
And while he does that, I'm gonna quick grab the link to that How to Win in Court course
Awesome.
because
Awesome.
everyone has a.
Yeah, it's on my list of things that I've got to do.
I know, right?
I'm trying to decide because I've got 2 different courses that I want to take. One of them is like a 20-month, basically master's level course, and I'm just like, okay, can I do that and How to Win in Court? I probably could, but my kids might be neglected a little bit.
Right? Is that the one that starts in January?
Yeah.
You know, you probably could crank out the How to Win Court course before, because Dr. Graves says that you could, in theory, go through that course in 8 hours.
Oh.
Now, I don't recommend that. That's like crash course finals week level studying.
Like procrastinate until you have a paper due the next day. Yeah.
Yeah. And how much you're actually going to retain.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But at least you're going to have a really solid overview. Like if you just sat and read and watched, you're still going to pick up quite a bit. And then you can always go back then if you find a need.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm thinking like the course that I would be taking in January would actually be good in conjunction with How to Win in Court, because it's dealing with liberty principles. It's dealing with how the law works and how the Constitution looks and, all of those things. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's just, again, it's how much am I willing to devote my time? And again, as a mother of 5, I've also got to think, how can I integrate this into teaching my children and training them up and giving them the knowledge in bite-sized pieces so that they can, when they get to my age, they're not just starting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're going to be so much farther along than we will ever get because they started so much earlier. They have all this time to like dig even deeper.
I know, and I keep thinking my kids are hopefully not going to have, a 3-party contract with the state for their marriages. They're not going to have their kids' birth certificates and social security numbers given to them by the state. They're going to be able to actually have the freedom that I'm learning to fight for now, right?
Yep.
Howtowinincourt.com, huh?
Yep. So that's a link to the course. For anyone who is interested and wants to.
Oh, you got it.
Nice.
You got it. I love it. I love the crackling sound.
I know, you hear that?
Warms my heart.
I think every family should get them a copy of this. Listen
and when you get them, teach your kids cursive so that they can actually read it.
So they can read it. And it's like, it's just, listen to that. It's just.
I know.
And then what I love about it is that I had some and somebody took them. I don't know where they were stolen from me, so I had to get some more. But these are the stuff that you want to invest in, and you can look at the actual dates and stuff. So I just had to run and get them and say, look what I got.
Oh yeah, awesome. It's so worth it. I mean, it's a copy of the original, and so you're not getting. I loved somebody who was saying, it was at one of my first committee meetings. One of the other committee members was talking about how she loves the feel of books and the smell of them and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, I love original sources, right? And I love that I can read it and know that the original person wrote this and it's not doctored. It's not, a
tampered. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the other committee members goes, oh, I totally think the internet's way better because you can find everything on there. I said, yeah, but people edit the internet, like they can go on there, and he was talking about Wikipedia as a great source, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
At least they didn't say, oh gosh, what's that site? It's worse than Wikipedia, and I can't think of what it. Dang it.
I'm trying to think. What's worse than Wikipedia?
Shoot.
You know what
I've been able to disprove a couple of their
Yeah.
things years ago.
Oh wow. I find it hilarious that on Wikipedia the person that the article is about can actually be shut out from editing their own information. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So if someone else posts their birthday wrong, they can't
Right.
go and fix
They
it.
can't. Well, they a couple of conservative people were on there, and they were trying to edit their pages because they did, the information had been written by the left, and they tried to go in and edit, and they'd been locked out. So yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Now, how to win in court? Wait, let me go this way. I guess I can't show you.
It's a bit bright.
Huh?
You could take a snapshot of it and post it.
Snopes, yes, thank you, Jacob. Yes, Snopes. I have proven so many of their things. I'm like, if you were going to Snopes, you're a lost cause. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I've had people argue with me over something that they found on Snopes, and I'm like, you do realize
a couple of them I went right to the CDC for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or the package insert for that product. I'm like,
yeah. Or Facebook fact checkers. I love when they post an article that completely disproves their fact check, but it's mostly false. And you're like, okay.
Right.
Right. That makes sense.
Their opinion of it is what makes it false.
Right. Exactly.
but the thing about it is,
wait, Jake, you better not be typing while you're driving.
Oh,
he's on his way back from Minnesota tonight. He better not be typing while he's driving.
Now he won't do nothing like that.
Maybe he's on a stoplight or stopping to get gas or a potty break.
That might be it. No, he used to do that though. He would he'd listen to I'm gonna embarrass you, honey. He would listen to like Audible books and he would be taking notes on his phone while he was driving.
No, I will admit I tried that.
Yeah.
And I gave up. There's this one book. Okay. Context. So listen to the whole thing before you react, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So I found this book called the Feminism book, I think, or the Feminist book on Audible. And I'm like, all right, let's get this. Let's see what nonsense this is sharing. No lie, I'm actually thoroughly impressed with it so far.
Really?
They're sharing about, some about the founding women. Like Abigail, I don't remember if Abigail Adams is one of the women in there, but they were talking about how these women were basically.
This is Bella?
Yeah, that's my daughter. Oh, good.
Like the meetings in their homes.
Oh yeah.
Discuss things. And I'm like, wow, you're actually talking about like women actually doing really good stuff.
Yeah. Like
I'm impressed, and but I wanted to take notes. I wanted to like do a clip, and like at this point they're talking about so and so in this year doing this thing. Yeah. Or writing this book in this publication. Yeah. So I had to stop listening to it because I just wanted to take so many notes, and I couldn't because I only listen to Audible when I'm driving. Yeah. Because it's like my me time. Okay. So, but I get it. I totally relate to wanting to do that. But yes, that is the course.
So is that it?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got the right thing. Okay, now stop sharing my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, send me a link to that book because I'm always interested in reading new material. So
yeah,
I shouldn't have you send me the link because I already have my list that's thousands of miles long.
Yeah, but I feel like this would actually be really supportive for a lot of the things that you're doing. Yeah. At least the first section that I'm listening to so far, or that I have listened to. The history that these women are involved in is just stinking awesome.
Now, is this a free course or you got to pay for it?
This is just a book on Audible, so I don't remember.
How to Win in Court, I think, is the one he was.
Oh, the course. No, I want to say it's like $280 for a whole year access. But the stuff you're learning, he should be charging like $2,000 for at least.
Don't tell me that.
I know. It's so worth it. And there's a Telegram study group that we have.
Oh my
Um,
god.
And it gives you an honorary law degree.
yes, yes, yep. If you complete his program and you complete the test at the end, yes, you have an honorary Juris Doctorate.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I can go in the courts
I could
and
go and
represent people.
be honorary Dr. Sarah Peliquin.
What is it? The Sixth Amendment allows, according, I think it's the Sixth Amendment, you know, you can have anyone represent you and be your legal counsel. You do not have to have a bar or licensed attorney, but you do have to request it, which is wrong in my opinion. But there is a way to do it, and I do know people who have done it, but it's not always easy, and the courts aren't always happy with you doing it.
So wait a minute. Let's go back for a minute. I can be a double doctor. I can be a doctor.
Dr. King?
Basically, I mean,
I didn't want to go back to school. You guys are doing too much.
and I think you were out of the room.
Lifelong
at the
learning.
moment. Dr. Graves claims that you can do this course in about 8 hours.
Yeah.
I would not suggest it. I mean, that's like finals week level cram studying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you would pass the test at the end if you did it that way.
Yeah.
But
I can't cram nothing in 8 hours.
yeah, I mean, this one is like, I am not even through the evidence section, but I also have a personal reason for learning this and actually knowing it, not just knowing it theoretically.
Yeah.
But I have a personal reason for knowing it to be able to use it. So like, here's my notes so far. I'm not hang on a second. Okay. So this is the size notebook. This is the size notebook I'm using.
Nice.
Right? So it's not,
I've got one of those. Nice.
Yeah. So I've already used this much, and
Wow.
I'm only to the evidence section, and I'm only halfway through the evidence section. But I'm highlighting, so actually this is not a good example. Let me go back to a page where I have the definitions highlighted too.
I'm gonna really quick check on my other daughter because she might be asleep on the floor in the living room. So give me a sec.
Okay.
So like here I have like preliminary questions that you can ask, and then I have an actual definition for what. So I'm highlighting it in different colors, and then I'm highlighting like the examples or the key points. Like here I'm highlighting the key points for this section for judicial notice. So I'm going all out with my notes the way I should have been studying all through college, and I didn't.
So when you get done, you will have an honorary law degree.
Yup. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, X. I mean,
Wow.
I just said that.
We say the quiet part out loud.
Oh, wait.
What did I walk into here?
Can you use your notes to take the test, or is it a closed book test?
I'm sure you can take your notes. It's just online.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a time limit on it. I don't know. I haven't tried to take it yet, but
kind of like a marathon. You've got about 5.5 hours to finish it.
Yeah. Yep. And I know you can take it multiple times. So.
Oh, like my cousin Benny?
Oh.
Sure.
What? I was all of a sudden I got a message from Stacy. So I'm reacting to that, and then you're talking about the movie. Yeah, and I'm just like, what?
Wait, you have a cousin Vinny?
I know, right?
Yeah, no, the movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
wow. I might see you got me. You might have me spending some more money.
Sorry.
I might want my honorary lawyer degree.
How cool would that be, though? I mean,
you know how many people I can help?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where, and he makes this point somewhere in his course or in a podcast he did, like, we couldn't do this even 30 years ago because we didn't have the internet. We did not have the means to be sharing this stuff. Yes, this information was always accessible.
Yeah.
But you had to actually go to the law library or go to your campus or go to a law firm and borrow their books or sit and read their books.
Yeah.
But
Now
now,
you can.
but wait a minute. Wait. I'm getting, my brain is starting again. Do you know how many young people we can take through this course and let them get a honorary doctorate degree?
Yeah.
For $280.
And then they can really start to build that next, like you said, it's all about empowering the next generation.
I mean, look at all the people who are trying to get out of their poo-hole communities. Like, I grew up here in Jackson County, and I have, grown to have a really strong appreciation for my home community and my hometown. But I recognize it's, at one point, was ranked the 16th poorest county in the state.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities in Jackson County.
Yeah, it ranks low in a lot of things, education, health.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things. It's a rather depressed part of the state. So what can we do to make it better, right? And not relying on waiting for the government to do it.
Yep. You just brought up a massive point, Dr. King, that I didn't even think about. Yeah, this course, Chris Ann Hall's course, for really affordable options, give people a lot of opportunities.
Oh my goodness,
to do a lot of stuff.
I mean, think about I mean, we're relating it back to the PMAs and stuff, right? You would have the ability to use that in your PMA to advise people. You're not able to maybe represent them at the bar, but you're advising them and teaching them how to represent themselves, how to fight and win, right?
One of our the Facebook group that Sarah and I are in for PMAs, and I think I shared the link with Rosie. But if I didn't, I need to. So I apologize if I didn't. But she's a constitutional attorney. She is actually she's working on getting out of the bar, and so she is technically retired, and you have to be retired for 3 years for them to basically put you on the inactive list. You can't quit the bar. You can either get kicked out basically, or you retire out of it. But she is working on creating a ministry for constitutional legal support basically, and pulling together accountants, pulling together lawyers and all this stuff to help people who are being challenged. Now, this is particularly for the PMA world because we know they don't like what we're doing. They're gonna challenge us.
Yes.
And it's a matter of knowing this kind of stuff to defend your rights, or finding the right support who does know.
Yeah.
And will actually defend and protect your rights. So
yeah.
See, y'all just messing my head up again.
I thought Rosie was taking this course. I thought 2 weeks ago she was she sounded interested.
Well, trust me, she's always interested. But we probably both gonna take it and become, a honorary doctor degree in law.
Yep.
And now King and King Law Firm. No, I'm just joking. But this is, you guys, we have what it takes to empower, to change from within.
Yeah. Yep.
Will probably make us arch enemy number 1.
Yep.
Because you're empowering too many people.
But you said it the right way though, empowering from within, because where does it start? It starts right here, right?
Right. Yes.
It has to start with us, and we have to pass that. We have to pass it on in such a way that it inspires others. That's something that I've been learning as a mother of 5 homeschooling is I cannot I cannot educate them. They have to choose to educate themselves. I can teach things. I can inspire. I can show them by modeling how I'm learning and everything. But ultimately, it comes down to they have to want it, or they're not going to learn anything. And you see that in our public education system. You see that even in homeschool groups, right? Where the kids are being told they have to sit through and do a standardized form of education so they can get their ACTs or SATs or whatever, and they can pass and go to college and get their jobs that are supposed to pay what, $80,000 to $100,000 in the first year. And you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, not unless you are like an engineer.
Right, exactly. And so this is the lie that they're being told. And I mean, I think about coming out of my day, my last day of college, realizing I hadn't learned anything. that whatever I was going to learn, it was going to be on the job. And I was terrified because here I'm an RN. I just passed my boards, and I don't even know which questions I got right or wrong. I just managed to pass it somehow.
Girl, I'm gonna one up you, and I'm not usually like that.
Go right ahead.
When I graduated, I realized I had no idea what kind of a career I could even have with my degree.
Oh dear.
A degree in relational communication studies. I could be a hostess. I could be a receptionist. I could be an event planner. I could be literally anything. But it depended on like what I paired it with.
Yeah.
But
and I had no idea what I was gonna do. I thought I was just gonna be able to like graduate and go down to downtown and get a job somewhere doing this thing. No.
Right. But can you imagine we take young people that went to like Milwaukee Area Technical College and got an associate degree on paralegal and says, hey, $200, we're going to take you through this and you will get an honorable doctorate degree in law.
Yeah.
And
that was just...
And you're going to know more than any person who got a regular doctorate's degree in law.
Yep.
Right.
And it gives you the opportunity to also niche yourself and get into constitutional law or get into family law and actually get into the law, not the theories.
Right.
Yes.
Because this class does not get into theories.
Yeah.
It's focused on teaching you the laws and how to use them.
Yeah, it's not teaching you what other people think of the Constitution or their opinions or their interpretation of it. It teaches you the Constitution, right? Like,
this class doesn't focus so much on the Constitution, but he does focus on how to use those things.
Right. No, I'm just saying in a general manner, right?
Yeah.
We're what we're doing here. We're trying to teach the Constitution, not giving our own interpretation of it. Although I know we have our own interpretations and stuff like that, but the general manner of our teaching is not to teach you how to think. I'm sorry, what to think. It's to teach you how to think, right? So here, we're going to give you information. We're going to give you resources. We're going to give you the tools you need to learn this for yourself and not just and even challenge us, right? That's the thing, that we're sitting here. If you have a challenge for us and something that we believe or something that we
having too much fun crinkling that paper.
I know.
By the way, Stacy said that she's in Facebook jail and she's asking me if I can get her out without a lawyer.
Tell Stacy that I will represent. Tell her I will represent her in her trial on Facebook.
In about 8 hours, right?
Yeah. Tell her I'll be Perry Mason in Facebook jail lawyers.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
But that's right, she is in jail. She's in
I
jail.
was wondering why we didn't see her on here tonight.
Yep, she's watching, but she's sending me PMs.
She's in jail because she says she would beat somebody up or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Stacy, you rebel, you naughty girl.
Or she's in jail for showing me those cookies and I press charges.
We'll never know.
You push the button that said report abuse. So it's really your fault.
It's actually, that is mental abuse.
But Dr. King, I miss having Stacy on. Why would you do such a thing?
You know what? just because of that, just because of what you said, I'm gonna get off this call afterward, and I'm gonna go make myself some chocolate chip cookie dough, and then eat it, and send you a picture of me eating it. I don't know if you eat cookie dough. I'll make some cookies if you don't eat cookie dough, and then take a picture.
Oh, here's a fun fact for you. I've since I've gotten on the board on some of the committees, I bring baked goods. I'm trying to butter people up, you know. Like, I am a really nice person at heart. I love seeing people happy, so I give them baked goods to warm them up.
I like it.
Oh,
That's funny. So yeah, she is watching and she's commenting. She loved the stick that in your pipe thing that I said. So.
Nice. That's awesome. Oh.
Where is she watching from?
I don't know. She didn't say. Oh, she's typing. She's writing. Yeah, that's why we're so quiet today, because we don't have Stacy harassing us. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think she got, because I think she sent it to me.
That's funny.
I'm in jail for those comments about the Waukesha parade killer.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah. She made a comment
and
to
she
Kevin.
just shared a picture.
Yeah, she made a comment to Kevin Nunn, says, if I had been there, I'd be happy to go in and fry his sorry A.
Oh.
Yep.
And that got her put in Facebook jail.
Uh-oh.
Yep. You rebel with a cause. This is why we're friends.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I will tell you guys, I have been lucky enough to sneakily say things in a way I have not been in Facebook jail yet. Knock on wood.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I've had a couple warnings, but I've never actually gotten jailed yet.
I got one warning for the Jesus flipping tables one about relating it to like the pokes or something, but
yeah.
All I got was a warning on that.
Please, I'm a repeated offender.
I like the ones where you post a verse and they hide it. I just did that recently, and they hid the verse because it was apparently like a trigger warning. Yeah, this is a dangerous picture. Like, okay.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, my daughter's on YouTube. She's the one responding. She's like sending me frantic emails going, Dad just shoved the phone at me and made me type. I don't know what's going on.
Write it. And he says, I did nothing.
Yeah.
But you know, let's talk about, I know y'all, we still got to do the 5th, and we probably ain't gonna get it done tonight, but we'll get it done one day.
I mean, it is a pretty big one. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack. So yeah.
We really only start talking about the second half. That first half is just, I'm having a hard time wrapping my own mind around it. So
yeah.
And so I want to talk about November, okay? And you guys coming down.
Jake got the days off, so we're good.
Yeah.
Jake got the days off.
Yeah.
All right. Jake, keep both hands on the wheel.
Yeah, I want you home in one piece, dear.
I know I don't do it all the time, but just take my advice anyway.
Listen to my words, not my actions.
Exactly. So,
I used to hate that. My parents would be like, "Do as I say, not as I do." I'm like, but that seems a little bit off.
Critical, yeah. No wonder our generation got so messed up.
So what I'm thinking about, you guys, because it's so much to give people, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about Sunday night. We'll start like 4 p.m, where one of you got 45 minutes with a 15-minute question.
Okay.
And then the other one will come up 45 minutes with a 15-minute question. Okay. And then we'll go into worship that night and have service that night. And then Monday we'll do something, but we won't do it until about 3 o'clock. I'll give y'all a chance to relax. Oh. And then at 3 o'clock, we'll get people together that interested in be part of a PMA, or, you know, if they want to be a private member or they want to do ministry or whatever, We want to bring them together and answer their questions.
Awesome.
And we're going to let the political Martha and Mary, Mary and Elizabeth, go at it and share with these people.
Wait, I want to be Abigail Adams. Come on.
Okay, Abigail Adams. But
and who was I gonna be? I'll figure it out.
you'll figure it out, huh? And so what we want to do is give them a chance, because I really I'll put up the new flyer tonight. Did y'all saw the new flyer? So I'm gonna put that up tonight and let people know. So Stacy will know and everybody else that they can come in and get the information, I'm gonna try to grab a bunch of young people, because I want to do that lawyer thing with them to see hey, you guys always talking about your rights ain't right,
Yeah.
Okay, we got this special session for you guys, right?
Oh, you could do like a teaser trailer of it. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just wet their whistle. You can't just like give them the whole thing. You got to give them like just enough that they want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have good ideas on occasion.
See, when you two get to talking and I start thinking and getting in trouble, I'm gonna always play this.
Okay.
So I think that this is what we, because we're talking about empowering. That's the part I love about it. We're always talking about empowering. How many families can't afford a real lawyer, but if they can go through these classes and know how to really get the ball going for the benefit of themselves, even when they're, I was driving this morning, because I drive Lyft, and I was driving this morning, and a woman was saying, my brother is locked up. They only had 72 hours to charge him, and they didn't charge him, and they haven't let him go yet.
Huh.
Yep. That's something Dr. Graves says in the course, that like he knows that a significant number of people who are sitting in jail would not be sitting in there if people knew what's in this course.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this you guys.
I think this is going to be our goal, Amber, from now on, is just to make him cry over the things that we're trying to get him to do.
We are over here being movers and shakers.
Yes, we are.
Because I don't know what, but I started sharing it with the community, right? And it's so too good to be true that they was like, "You kidding? They don't believe me."
Oh gosh.
But it's just exciting because you get to empower. I love empowering people, right?
Yeah.
People say, "You didn't win the primary. You didn't win, you lost." I said, I didn't lose.
Yeah.
Look at how many people I was able to empower.
Exactly.
Look how many people know truth now. So I didn't lose. I won, because it set me up for the next move and the next move and the next move and the next move. And so to flip Milwaukee, we got to empower the people of Milwaukee. You're not just going to flip it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in order to make Jackson County a richer county, you got to empower the people.
Exactly.
And that's why I moved back, because I saw the potential. Like, I see the heart of the community.
Yeah.
They need support to get there.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys know?
Some of them might need a jolt with the cattle prod, but we'll we'll work on it.
Now, do you guys know the island by Jamaica? I think it's connected to Jamaica.
Barbados?
They call it Paradise Island.
Oh.
It's an island where it's connected. I believe it's like right by Jamaica, connected Jamaica owned it and they sold it. Okay. That island used to be called Trash Island.
And now it's Paradise Island, you said?
Because somebody saw the value of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See, I don't see the hood. I see Paradise Island, right?
There you go.
So
and isn't that such a great attitude to have? We see the potential, and a lot of people like to tell me you've got such an idealistic view of the world, and I'm like, yeah, but somebody has to, right?
Exactly.
If we want to, what is that saying about if you reach for the stars and you
If you shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you still land among the stars. Something like
yes,
exactly something like that. Yeah,
that's
and,
Les Brown.
yeah, so that idea that
he's awesome.
We've got to stop lowering our expectations and lowering our ideals. That's what got us into this mess to begin with. We're just slowly
I hate the mentality that if you have no expectations, you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
Screw that.
You already disappointed.
To go to sleep and let the world pass you by.
Right.
Yeah.
And you wake up, it's 20 years later, and you be like, what happened? You slept. But you know, but when you look at it, when we look at this and the and what comes behind this and what is being allowed, right? You're talking about taking people off the government plantation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And just freeing slaves isn't the answer. Because if they're not educated, they're going to go back to being a slave.
Yep, exactly.
Security.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you don't know, if you don't know your, what was it? If you don't know you're in, no, something to the effect of if when you get free, sometimes you go back to your chains because that's all you knew, right? That's all you know. And so it's comfortable. We don't want to be comfortable. And I lived, the first half of my life wanting to be comfortable and not wanting to get out of my zone and be like, this is all normal and I'm okay and I'm going to just stick with it. And it doesn't last because reality sets in and it keeps poking and prodding at you until you either wake up or decide to bury your head in the sand further, right? And so I was like, I'm not going to bury my head in the sand. And part of it I think just came about because I already had an innate love of learning, right? I love to read, I love to explore, and I love to ask the why questions, but a lot of people aren't even there yet. And so it's just finding them where they're at.
But when I was in school,
where they're at and bringing them to that point where they start asking those why questions.
Right. But when I was in school, I didn't like learning.
But now you do.
I'm a fiend for learning now. But the thing about it is, I guess it was always something in me that didn't like contaminated truth.
Yeah, there's a spark. Yeah. There is a spark. And if we can find that spark and light it.
Right. And you telling people, I remember one time, it was so funny. I never went along because that's how it was. And I guess that's because of the type of mama I had,
Yeah.
You didn't tell her that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
That when I was a teenager and I had a job and the guy called the house and says, my mom answered the phone and says, who's calling? And he said, I'm his boss. She snapped. You are not his boss. You are his supervisor.
Yeah.
Don't you ever form your mouth to say you must. And I didn't understand it, but that was something that came from the South that they did not like that word boss.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, ain't nobody your boss. They your supervisor. They are not your boss. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Okay. But the thing about it is, she never allowed me just to settle. When somebody said, in other words, it made me do more. When you say I can't do something.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I'll be like, okay.
Like watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now you done started something. Watch what I do now.
That is the exact energy behind why I said that stick that in your pipe and smoke it. That is exactly why, because I was told those things by a certain someone.
Yeah.
That I'm not doing anything, that I can't be successful, that all these lies. And I'm like,
you're a quitter. You can't ever succeed. Yep.
And I have this, and I only have a bachelor's degree and blah blah blah, and all this stupid nonsense. I'm like, those are straight up lies meant to keep me down, and I will embrace my rebel with a cause spirit. And it's not about showing anybody wrong, it's showing to myself that that ain't true. And I know it.
Exactly.
And-
I once did so I always had physical issues, and I was always told, you just got to get out and exercise more. You got to, push your limits, and there was a part of me that was, I just constantly felt like a failure. I'm not a marathon runner. I'm not all of these things. And so one year I had actually gone to the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, you are either going to have to take medication for the rest of your life, or you've got to change your lifestyle. And the best part of that speech was, there is a problem. You are not lying to yourself that there is a problem, but here's how we can fix it. Right. And so that, like, shortly after that, I signed up for something called Tough Mudder. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's an obstacle course, basically. And it is, oh gosh, I think
it's like a marathon obstacle course.
A 3 to 5 mile run. And you're running through mud, and you're climbing under electric wires, and you're running through fire, and you're jumping into big pools of just sludge, and like all of these physical challenges. And at that point, I had rarely done a push-up in my entire life, and could, maybe do one without looking like a complete idiot. And I was determined to do it, and I lost my glasses. Okay, I've got vision problems. I lost my glasses in that pool of sludge, and I finished anyway, blind as a bat. I went through every last, and it was just one of those things. I needed to know that I could do it. I've never done it again. I never want to do it again. But
now,
it was
to do that,
motivation
to go through all of that, I just got one question.
What? Am I insane?
Why?
You lost your mind? No, after that was probably one of the big times that started me on the course that's brought me here to now. So
I did not know this about you, Sarah, and I am both inspired and awed by you, and yet I also kind of think you're a little crazy.
I am.
I love you though. Crazy, I am.
I don't mind being
I'm that
crazy.
type of person that if you say, okay, David, go through this course, right? and I look at it, and I'm looking at you like, I ain't got nothing to prove to you. I ain't going through that.
It wasn't to prove to anybody else, though. It was to prove to myself. I needed.
No,
to
I wasn't
know
talking to you. I wasn't going to be talking to you. I've been talking to myself.
Oh yeah, totally. It was to prove to myself that I have limitations, but I can challenge them. Right. That I can go beyond them and push myself harder. And yeah, ever since then, I mean, that really got me started. I think that was the first, or it might have been either right before college or right during my first couple of years of college, where I was really struggling with a lot of things. And that really did push me and inspire me in this way. I am crazy, but I love the crazy. I love where it's led me.
You guys just brought up a really good point about comfort zones, and that's something that my mentor, she actually wrote a book about selling from your comfort zone. And we're always, especially if you're in sales of any kind, we're always told, get out of your comfort zone. That's where success is, that's where the leads are, that's where the sales come. And that is exactly the mindset that destroys so many people who actually have a bucket load. I am really trying hard not to swear because I'm so passionate right now. Holy moly.
Yeah.
And I'm not, anyways. So like, people who have so much to offer the world, their wisdom and their knowledge and their experiences are destroyed when it comes to sales, because they're taught these outdated concepts.
Yeah.
Go to the edges of your comfort zone. Explore where those edges are and work from there. And the more you do that, you can expand your comfort zone and still work in it, because you've explored the boundaries, and you found, oh, I can handle this. This boundary's not so bad. Let me see a little bit farther. Oh, I can handle that too.
Yeah.
And it's just so empowering. I have not even read the entire book yet, but just what she's shared in podcasts and videos about it.
Yeah. But one of the books that I read was Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
And what stuck with me is I would not be that 3 feet where the man gave up. He was 3 feet away from being a billionaire.
Mm.
Mhm.
And he gave up and sold everything.
Mm.
3 feet away.
Yeah.
So I started teaching people, don't use the word hard. Use the word challenge.
Yeah.
Because if you use the word hard, you'll quit.
Yep.
Yep. There's
But
so
if-
much power in language.
It
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Power and energy in language.
So and one of the things that I taught people is to live off of Genesis chapter 2.
Mm.
I mean, Genesis chapter 12, verse 2, right?
Mhm.
And take it from the Amplified Version and say it daily in your life. And it says this, and I will make of David a great nation, and I will bless David with abundant increase of favor. And I will make David's name famous and distinguished, and David shall be a blessing, dispensing goods to others. And
Yeah.
when I say that to myself and I come in agreement with God, I don't care how I feel. I'm still great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm dealing with. I am still great. Right?
And doesn't that bring us right back to that scripture passage that talks about, right? I mean, you're talking about comfort zones, Amber. When Jesus talks about being faithful in the little things, and then he entrusts you with the bigger things, right? It's not you jump into the deep end and hope you swim and then realize you're drowning the whole time. It's you start with those small steps. You
But
take
see, the
those
biggest,
small
and you know
moves.
what the biggest problem is? Everybody wants you to do it their way.
Yeah.
You know, and you sitting there like, why I got to do it that way? Because it worked. Yeah, it worked for you.
Yeah.
It might not work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake and I read a ton of different parenting books, and we had this one selection that I'd grown up, you know, my parents had read them and said, this is the best way to parent. Right. And I'm reading them again. I actually ended up ripping them to shreds and burning them. And I don't rip books to shreds. So this is a big step for me, right? Because I reread them and I went, that is not the way. I am not going to do it that way anymore. It is toxic. It is despicable.
I have a book I did the same exact thing with. I threw it away. I didn't even tell Mom I threw it away, but I'm like, no,
not happening.
No. And I'm like, no wonder never mind.
Yeah. Well, and we ended up saying we're going to do this parenting thing with God at our head and in our center and in, you know, surrounding us, but we're going to do it Jake and Sarah PELOQUIN way, right? We're going to do it the way that fits our family, the way God has established our family.
Exactly. And here's how parenting goes. You make the mistake on your children and you correct it with your grandchildren. I mean,
you know, the most challenging thing and the most rewarding thing I've seen as a parent is humbling myself and apologizing when I do wrong. Yes. And that is
my own emotions about my fears of failure as a parent or things like that influence how I respond or rather react to my kid instead of being thoughtful about what is going to help him learn how to be a good person, how to be productive, how to be, you know, right with God and God's direction. Yeah.
And there's that verse that talks about, you know, life, you have the power of life or death. Right. And I remember distinctly, there was one incident I had with my kids where I was this close to the edge. And I remember hearing God's voice in my head going, Sarah, in the next few minutes, you have the power to speak life over your children or death. Which one are you going to choose? And it was so clear and so vital in that moment. And it was like,
that's pivotal.
Yeah. And so, you know, there are times when I stumble and fall. There are times when I do end up speaking death over my children, but going back and making it right and saying, I'm going to speak life into you. I'm going to speak life over you.
Concede all of that.
Yep.
We're going to redo this.
Exactly.
Right. And then when the kids get mad, when you have to make that decision, you know what I tell them?
What?
Build a bridge and get over it. Because it's not about being your friend right now. It's about being your protector, your parent right now. Yeah. So you might not like my decision.
Up with an explanation as to why.
Right.
And that's the ticket. Yep.
Well,
exactly.
Sometimes, because I come from I come from a place where you never ask why. Now kids these days, they get to ask why and everything.
Yeah. And they deserve an answer. They deserve to understand and know why. We all did.
Yeah.
It'd be like, don't do that. Why? Because I said so.
I heard that
I
too.
think that there are rare moments when that is the case, where you have to say, I'm putting my foot down. I have to do this now, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a lot more moments where those are opportunities for teaching.
Right.
Those are opportunities for inspiring our children, for modeling for them. I remember being told to respect my elders, but I was never taught what that looked like. It was never modeled for me. How do you respect somebody who doesn't respect you, right? And so that was one of those things where having my own family, I'm like, I'm going to teach you what it looks like to respect. So when when my kids start sassing me back, I said, okay, I am respecting you by listening to you, but I will not listen to you if you choose not to respect me in return. And this is what it looks like, right? And I can't tell you how amazing that has made our conversations, because they get that. Our children are such sponges, and they soak everything up. More is caught than taught. I know famous.
Oh, I like that. More is caught than taught.
More is caught than taught. It wasn't mine, but it was one of those things that sticks with you, right? Where if I am saying one thing and teaching by example in another thing, they are going to take that example. They're not, and that's why the whole saying of "do as I say, not as I do" is not a good one. It's hypocritical.
Right.
Like, I should be striving for excellence just like my children.
Right. But with me, I just have to say, because I don't mind them expressing themselves, because we was trained, even whether you black or white, you had that slave mentality being raised, being seen and not heard. So you wasn't allowed to express yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I will allow them to, and then all I have to say is this: you're getting close to the line.
Yes.
That's it.
And I mean, it's healthy to have boundaries and
exactly.
understand what they are,
right,
and why they exist. Yeah, I mean,
because if you don't have no boundaries, I always used to tell them, if you don't discipline your children, when they get older, they're gonna discipline you.
Oh, so, no, they're gonna punish you. There's a difference. You don't discipline your children; they will punish you.
So that fear, and when I say fear, I'm not talking about fear where they're so terrified of you, but that fear of reverencing you as their parent.
The respect, yes.
It has to be there. You cannot say, you're my best friend. I don't want you to be my best friend, because I need a parent right now. I don't need a best friend right now. I need a parent. I think for me, when you guys talked about the challenges and the borderlines and everything, I had a white man bring me to reality one day. I was about 20 years old. I'm in the bar, being a 20-year-old in the bar, and
what is a 20-year-old in a bar, Dr. King? I gotta know what this is about.
Well, let's see.
I'm just kidding. You can
21-year-old.
I was a 20-year-old. I was a 20-year-old in a bar. A young stallion in heat.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm at the bar, and this guy comes up, because we talk all the time. He was a white guy. We sitting, because I was hanging at this bar, because after work we go to this certain bar after work, everybody, and it was a mixture of blacks and whites hanging out, having fun. So he comes up to the bar. We done had some excellent conversations, and he said, "David, you're a very smart young man." And I said, "Thank you." He said, "But why you letting your little head run your life?"
Oh, yep.
And it hit me. I'm sitting there like, wow. He did a paper cut.
Yep.
Because that was a sharp cut.
Yeah.
Because I realized then what I saw was not what he saw.
Yeah.
Right? He saw a very smart young man that he had good conversation with, and I just saw a young stallion in heat.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I got a good life, young stallion in heat. But then when he started talking to me, I started thinking about it, and I'm sitting there like, wow, And then when I got on the side of God, it went even, it went to a level that it blew not just my mind, but other people. Like I worked it for JC Penney's, right?
Okay.
And I managed 3 departments for JC Penney's. I managed the lingerie department, the I know, right? The shoe department and the jewelry department. Now
Wait,
they
you
put
just said the lingerie department.
He did. He said that.
they gave me the lingerie department, and so I could tell you some
You were a
stories
young
about.
stallion and he. You guess he must have been an expert in that, huh?
Well, the lingerie department really manages. The lingerie department really kind of managed itself because I wasn't going to go measure a woman's chest size
Right.
to help her get a bra or.
Yeah, no, just ain't happening.
You know, the lady was like, "Is anybody over here that can help me?" I'm like, "Well, I don't measure, so I'm gonna have to go get somebody else. Because if I do it my way to measure, I'll be like, oh, you're a size C." But anyway,
We are all feisty tonight. Holy moly!
but anyway,
Oh my gosh.
He's an honest guy, you know.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, this is real life, guys.
But my jewelry department sold more diamonds in a jewelry sale than any store in the company, right? So they wanted to know how this small store sells so many diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they got to the store, because I mean, they made a big thing of it. They brought us dinner, they gave us bonuses and everything. And when they got to the store, what they wanted you to do was every time you sell a diamond, you're supposed to take people information down. So every time there's a sale, you're supposed to get on the phone as a sales and call your customers and say, "Hey, we got the special going." Well, when they got to my store, none of my employees filled out their books. They had nothing in their books. And they was like, how did you sell? I mean, we had a man walk in the store, and JCPenney's, a lot of people don't know, but they have a diamond vault that you can build your diamond.
Oh wow.
And all 3 C's, cut, color, and clarity, right?
Yeah.
So, see, I know my stuff. But anyway, he came in and he went in the vault and he brought his wife a new wedding band, ring, and all, because when they first got married, they couldn't afford it.
Okay.
So he spent thousands of dollars in the diamond vault. And so they were saying to me, they all sitting around and they asking me, how are you doing this? And nobody's paperwork is done. So how we outdid the pre-sale, we outdid the sales. So they want to know how we did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing there, and there's another manager was standing there with me. I said, it wasn't me. They were like, well, who was it? I said, it was God. And they were like, what? I said, God sold those diamonds. I said, everybody that came in, God drew them in there. I had a guy came in, brought diamonds, and proposed to his girlfriend right there in the jewelry department.
Aww.
And people were just coming in. And it was like, as soon as they got there, it was like they was drawn to the diamond. And every night we were selling. And they was like, wait a minute, are you trying to tell us? I'm like, I'm trying to tell you it was God. Your way of doing things, you see, we didn't do it. We didn't do it your way.
Yeah.
You know, with a small store in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, sold more diamonds than every store that JCPenney owned.
Wow. That's
That's
crazy.
huge.
And I told him, I said, so can you imagine when you take what God has put in you and connect it back to the manufacturer who did it, and then you allow the manufacturer to fix it and fine tune it so you can be that person that he wants you to be? We would not be here if it wasn't for God. None of us would be on this show if it wasn't for
Hands
God.
down, amen. Yeah, I completely agree.
I wouldn't even have a show if it wasn't for God.
Yeah.
You know, and so when we take what we're learning and then put it back in the hands of the manufacturer, which is God, then now we can do more than enough. And so I'm gonna have an army of honorary doctor degree in lawyers in the city of Milwaukee because
There you go.
we gotta have our own, right?
Yeah.
We gotta have
Imagine
our
the things that you're gonna do in your community just because you're
Mm.
building this. Like, not even who you're empowering, but the changes you guys are gonna be able to make
Yeah.
and who you're gonna be able to hold accountable. Like, holy moly!
Mhm.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I need some seatbelts now because I'm like, poof.
Yep.
Because
0 to 60.
I see. Now we got the legal side, right?
Yeah.
We got the legal side. We got the
Welcome.
education side, the school side. We got the church side.
Yeah.
We got the pine cone cookie side. We got
By the way, Stacy just said two things. First of all, when we were talking about you managing the lingerie department, she said, "OMG, he is so lucky I can't comment." So she had some comments for you, David. And then she just said the bakery manager at the Pine Cone says God drew David in.
the man at pine cone say what?
That God drew you in.
Oh, into the cookies. Yes, I know, right? It says, "I'm going to test your temptation." Now walk in.
No, he's
Stacey-
saying, look at all of this abundance I have for you.
I know, right? He says, I got cookies you didn't even bake.
There you go.
Tell Stacy she can inbox her comment to me, whatever she's trying to say. But you know, I'm just looking at the PMA, the Constitution, and what it really does. And
Yeah.
then I look at one of my mentors, Frederick Douglass, who took the Constitution and the Bible
Yep.
and became so successful in a time where a black man would have got hung just looking at a white woman, and he married one.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't touch him.
Yeah.
And he fought for school choice, and they didn't touch him. And he told them they was out of order, and they didn't touch him.
Just like how God was telling all the Israelites, like, you know, you're gonna take all these different cities on and their armies, but I'm gonna win it for you.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Like, I'm gonna do this for you, but you actually have to show up.
Yeah, the only battles they lost were the ones where they went into battle without God at the head and without God bringing them there.
And you know why? Because they thought they was on their own and they can do it. And God said, okay, go ahead. You'll be back crying
They
too.
thought they were stallions, right, Dr. King?
I guess I ain't gonna live that one down now.
Not at all.
But-
I'm having too much fun.
But the thing about it is, when we look at it, right, and we understand the source,
Yeah.
because that word Abba means source. So God is the source.
Yeah.
So if we understand God is the source, he says, I'm gonna give you guys the tools. I'll be the source, but I need you to go. And until you go, ain't nothing gonna change.
Yeah.
You can have all the knowledge without any kind of movement, and guess what? Ain't nothing gonna change.
Yeah.
But if you understand what we have right now, right? What we got in power, oh, that would throw tweet. But if you realize what you have,
Not completely professional here.
this is
We'll keep it PG though.
what, yeah, please do.
Family friendly.
Family friendly until you get off the air, then
Should I bring him upstairs?
Go ahead.
Then we'll hear that song. We'll hear that song from Jackson County all the way to Milwaukee County. Welcome to the jungle. So,
My goodness.
but
Yep.
so okay, we was talking about the conference, and I don't know how we got way over here.
I know we go.
So I'm thinking Sunday we'll do 3
Yep.
or 4. We can do 4 and 5, and then go into the worship service.
Okay.
Okay. Then Monday we can do 4 or 5 going. Well, no. Yeah, 4 and 5, and then go into the worship service
Okay.
every day. And then those that are interested, we'll have a special time for them that we all will get with them. And who knows, we might be signing people up for membership in the private. And then we might also have new private ministries. Am I saying it right? Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are.
How do you and you don't have to answer right now, but unless you have an idea, do you have a rough idea of what we're looking at for numbers for attendance?
Not yet, because we're gonna start. We're starting to market it right now and talking to
Okay.
people.
And I'm
And
starting to put together some resources and like printouts and stuff. So I want to
yeah, and
have that.
I'll find out. I gotta talk to a couple of people. Wait a minute. Stacy said.
Uh-oh.
Stacy said, "Are we going into the Song of Solomon now?"
Oh dear. We'll do that after the Constitution. How's that?
Yeah, after the Constitution, we'll go into the song. But so we're gonna be putting it out. Put the flyers in the groups that you guys in. If anybody want to come down, this week coming up, I'll look at the hotels to see which hotel we'll have you guys in, and then if we can make some deals that other people that might want to come down can get in. Then
Yeah.
they can come in and get in as well, and they can
If
stay
there's a
there.
hot tub, I'm all good.
Yes, right?
I'm sure they got them there.
That's my only requirement. It has to have a hot tub.
You don't want
I
that.
love being able
Now,
to
you
swim.
bringing the kids. You don't want the hot tub in the room
No. I want it in this.
Just be able to go down to it.
by the pool. Yes.
Yeah.
Me and Amber are gonna get a night away from the kids. There we go.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure that's there, because I don't believe in those hotels that scare you. You know.
Thank you.
No,
Because the equivalent of my family motel in big cities would be the scary ones.
Okay. So you ain't got to worry about Motel 6 or Super 8.
Oh, good.
None of that. We will not put y'all up in a hotel that we won't stay in.
Thank you.
I'm not going to do that. Because traveling this state, I done stayed in some places where the pistol was under my pillow.
Oh dear.
Yeah, my mom's already a little uncomfortable knowing I'm going to Milwaukee.
I know.
Well, tell your mom Milwaukee is not bad, because you don't know nobody, so they're not after you.
Oh good. Oh good.
They only attack
My
people
great
that.
grandpa used to drive taxi down there way back like a century ago. So she's had a couple generations worth of bad stories, and so she's
Well, just tell your mama you with somebody that's an anointed thug, so you safe. That's all.
We got an in, huh?
Yeah, you're safe.
This is feeling a little bit mafia-like to me.
You know what?
We're part of the family now.
Yes.
I thought I was born in the wrong generation. I thought it would be really cool to meet mafia people. So I can't think of the main dude's name right now.
Al Capone and
Yes, thank you. Him. Yeah.
Well, I don't, it all depends though, because they was ruthless.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be on the good side, on their good side.
Yeah, we didn't want the cement shoes.
I know, right? Now they could say something to me. I'll be like, okay, cool. They be like, be quiet. I'll be quiet. But when you leave, I'll start talking again. But you'd be like, no. But no, Milwaukee is not really that bad like they make it seem. So you guys are going to have a good time. We're going to have you in a nice hotel that you guys can be relaxed and stuff like that. And probably find somewhere there's some places that you can go eat, or maybe one of the malls that you can walk in the malls or something like that. I don't want y'all acting so scared that y'all, hiding in your room and ain't coming out until it's time to go to the church and
You'll
stuff
find me
like that.
shaking and rocking back and forth in the corner.
Yeah, sucking your thumb, calling on your
I'm
mama
supposed
and
to get up and
something.
talk about the courage of the Constitution, right?
Right. Be hiding, be like, no. But it's and y'all Second Amendment people anyway, so I ain't even worried about that. So, but no, it's Milwaukee is to me is more safer than Minneapolis.
That's a bold statement. I kind of appreciate that because,
That's-
yeah, especially these days, Minneapolis is about as bad
crazy.
as it was back in the 80s and early 90s.
And
Yeah.
I know somebody might get mad at me. What are you talking about? You only hear Milwaukee when it's election time.
Yeah.
But most of the things is somebody knows somebody. It ain't where they just go rob somebody because they know so many people have their Second Amendment. So they're not out to just attack and now you're supposed to be scared.
That depends on your perspective, she says.
That I was wondering where was Spot of Tea. How are you tonight? We've been acting crazy tonight. So
Yeah, I know. We're going on 3 hours here.
oh shoot, show is.
Yeah.
I ain't even pay that no
Having
attention.
fun though.
Yeah. So, but the conference, the conference is gonna be good. You guys can.
You're upset. Why? I don't know who you are, but
States, what you upset about? Stacy is talking about. There's probably still some good Italian mafia restaurants.
We'll get at least a little taste of another era.
Yeah. So let's see.
just
Oh no,
Just don't drive it.
a Kia. How about a minivan? Does a junky minivan work?
Well, it all depends. It's not a Kia, right?
No, not at
Oh,
all.
then you safe.
Got a
It's
Honda
not a
Accord.
Hyundai.
I got a Jeep from 2000 now.
Yeah, but yeah, you got safe. But yeah, the Kias. Now, Jamie, right? You got a Kia. That might be tempting to somebody to come in broad daylight and take your Kia because they know how. Say, I wish I was in a good mood, but I am dealing with Milwaukee problems right
Apologies.
now. What problem in Milwaukee you dealing with? Maybe I can help you. The
You gotta
Kia
get your honorary doctorate's degree first.
Oh, I'm getting that. So
The Kia boys. Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's the name of a group of young kids that's still in the cars. So what you dealing with Milwaukee? Let me know so we can jump in and do some things. But you guys though, so when you guys come, this is going to be so empowering because there are other people who even thinking about running for office in 23 in the school board races as well in 24 for state representatives, county supervisors.
Oh goodness. Lovely.
Oof.
Maybe a homeless person.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna do this.
Hmm.
That is my phone number. Spotted T, text me the address and things, and let me see what we can do.
And Jamie, about graduating from a school to take the bar, I would not be taking the bar. I would steer clear of the bar with, a 10-foot pole. There's nothing good that comes from the bar besides getting to be part of the good old boys club.
Yeah.
and getting in each other's pockets and
Yep.
being buddy with people. It is a very toxic thing that I would love to see disbanded.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it is more difficult to get into the courtroom to represent without being in the bar, but it's not impossible because of the Sixth Amendment right to have legal representation. And that does not specify, oh, only a bar legal representation.
Right.
or
Exactly.
legal counsel. So there are ways. Yeah, Shady Club. Exactly. I've been through 3 attorneys in my personal situation, and the first one was the worst because he was, up there in his career, and truly it was a good old boys club for him.
Yeah.
The next 2, they were younger women. They were doing the best they could, but they're still bar, and they still have to kind of like stay buddy because they're going to work with these other lawyers and judges.
ultimately their hands are tied because they are loyal first to
the
court, and so they're not loyal to their clients.
Yep,
Ultimately,
exactly.
they can't be the
Yep.
way that it's set
Now,
up.
there are a few on the inside that are truly constitutional. Most of them say they're constitutional, but even the guy who's in Wisconsin, that he's doing a lot of good stuff, but like I still don't know if he's truly standing for people's actual constitutional rights and using the rules of evidence, using the rules of procedure to really assert their rights. Like he should be. I don't know. I haven't seen him in court, so I can't speak to that. But I'm just saying it's really hard to find a true constitutional lawyer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not trying to poo-poo on that, but that's kind of.
I mean, the schools are set up that way. They don't. I mean, they'll tell you when you graduate you'll be a constitutional lawyer because you took a class that explained what other people think. Yeah, what other people think about the Constitution, and a comparison study of all of the world constitutions, right? Which is really sad because I mean, even our Supreme Court justices in several of them have talked about modeling our Constitution more after other world constitutions, and you have to wonder why, because our Constitution has survived for 36 years.
Exactly.
And the average age of a constitution around the world is 17 years. So, I mean, obviously there are problems in other constitutions. Our Constitution is the only constitution in the world that is based strictly on biblical principle, right? For law and justice. And
yes.
Yeah. And 0% of law schools that we are aware of in this country actually teach their students what the Constitution says and actually study that document itself. So
yes.
So
there are select Christian schools that have law classes, but ultimately when you go in for your doctor, of jurisprudence or whatever, you're going to a secular college that does not teach what you need to know. So yeah.
Oh wow. So yep. So we're getting ready to have fun because we done hit the almost 3. We got 8 minutes before the 3 hour mark. 3 hour.
7 minutes and 40 seconds.
Straight to the point, right? So we're gonna put you guys up for your final thoughts. I know we've been naughty tonight, and that's fun.
We're spicy.
That's what it is. Not naughty, but spicy. Okay. So from the voice of the stallion, you guys are going to.
I thought you were the anointed thug. What?
A little bit of both. It's a little bit of both.
Well, I try to tell y'all I'm bipolar schizophrenic. 1 minute I'm Italian.
Don't tell the fact. I want to come down to Milwaukee.
1 minute I'm a stallion. 1 minute I'm an anointed thug. The next minute I'm a constitutional fighter. The next minute I'm
Sarah, he's the kind of person that David Edwards is talking about, where you can't establish an association with just one person unless you have like multiple personalities. Well, I guess he's it.
There you go. That's what it is.
You just got to tell me which one you want me to bring forth. Bring out the
and
pastor.
You need at least 2, you and one other.
Yeah, just bring out. But the good thing about it is, when it's time to work, all of me come in agreement.
Right.
All of me are on one accord. So We might be all over the place, but one of me, when it's time, the first
You're
person
in
I'm
the
in
zone.
agreement with is with myself.
Okay.
So I ain't all that crazy now. So, but I'm there. So let me see. Who went first last time?
I don't know.
Okay,
Can't remember.
then I'm
Eeny,
gonna have to
meeny,
do
miny,
it like when we was kids. Any, miny, miny, mo. Catch the tiger by the toe. If they holler, let them go. My mama told me to pick this one. Out goes the cat. Out goes the rat. Out goes the lady with the seesaw hat. Oh, you're first.
Oh my god.
I've not heard that one. That's interesting. Um, what I'm gonna end with tonight, just because I really hit on it hard tonight, is everyone really should be studying these documents and these resources we're sharing. For me, this How to Win in Court Without a Lawyer course, so mind-blowingly awesome. And like we were saying, it's really affordable to know how to defend your rights, from how to respond if someone comes knocking and you're getting harassed to full-fledged court for something. So for a really accessible resource, super, yes, that sounds, I don't care about recalls. Sorry. So study. Take the self-responsibility it takes to assert and defend your rights. Because, yeah, we got soldiers, but no one's really going to do it for you and your rights. How many rights are you going to allow to be taken before you feel like, oh, this finally impacts me, and there's not enough people around to actually fight anymore? So we got to stop saying that this one doesn't impact me, I'm not going to fight this, and just start standing up together.
I was trying to go between the title Constitutional Queen or Constitutional Therapist, and I chose Queen because I haven't actually written that out, and it kind of feels good. So,
I like it.
and Jamie, Toll House cookie dough. Come on, I make my own from scratch, so
Yeah,
I don't have any recalls. All right, so yeah, there is an element of therapy in this, the way that we teach this, because there's the therapist is there to guide and to direct, but not to actually tell you what to do or how to do it, or even whether or not you can do it, right? They're there to guide and direct and hopefully inspire you to find this information for yourself, to study it for yourself. Take what we say with a grain of salt, in the sense that we are fallible human beings, and we sometimes get things wrong, and that's okay. But we are learning, and we are constantly trying to study. And I'm going to steal a scripture verse: study to show ourselves approved workmen, right? Who are not ashamed. And that comes with the gospel. It also comes with our defense of freedom. I hope someday that my children will look back on my life and say that I stood up and I was courageous, and I learned what I needed to learn so that I could pass on freedom to them and to the next generations. So, I'm encouraging guys to go out and study for yourselves, learn for yourselves. Take what we say. I know we touched on the Fifth Amendment, and there's so much more to talk about. But we also realize that it's not just the Constitution we're teaching and inspiring you with. We are also inspiring you to seek out the scriptures, seek out communities that are like-minded, and no, not agreeing with everything you say, because that'd be kind of boring, but are willing to have civil discourse and civil discussion, and just engage in this world and engage in the kingdom purpose and kingdom mission. So that's all I've got to say. Thanks for sticking around with us till the bitter end.
And I just want to say it this way. Wisdom is the principal thing. So therefore, get wisdom. But with all that getting, get an understanding. And we have to get to a place when we do these. I even learn. I'm learning. I'm enjoying the thing, but it also allows my vision to go even and span more. Like the Constitution, the PMAs, the learning the laws and how to represent yourself in court when you can't afford anybody to go and represent yourself. And I tell people all the time, nobody is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And the only way we can really save ourselves is we empower one another. And so just as the Bible said, as iron sharpen iron, men sharpen men, we have to sharpen one another. We have to prepare one another. But then there's the thing about it is the way we turn our community around is the people is the arrows, and we just got to point the arrows in the right direction. And so I am grateful. I'm blessed to have you guys, and I'm tripping because I'm reading this cookie dough comment and everything, but doing stuff like this is exciting to me because I love empowering people. And this conference, if you are in close to Milwaukee, and you guys need to
or even if you're not.
If you're not, if you fly in from out of state, we'll give you extra bonus points.
Talking to you, Dee from California.
Yeah. Who is on there?
Stand Up Humboldt too. She's the person I had the podcast with earlier, and she's out in California.
Awesome.
Oh well, yeah, you could come on down.
Yeah, I know it's short. Well, maybe not so short notice, but you got a month.
Yeah, you got a month, but this is these if you are desiring to be empowered, let me put it that way. If you're desiring to be empowered, then you want to be at this conference. I mean, it's only $50. $50 is nothing to empower you, and
right.
Yeah,
for a 3-day conference, like that's even though you were saying it's like kind of like chunked in the afternoons or whatever, like that is a steal. That's what some people would pay for, like just the Sunday night thing. Okay.
And if anybody wants teaching on the kingdom of heaven, I'll be doing that during the daytime on Monday and Tuesday. So you can come out Monday and Tuesday and learn about the kingdom of heaven. I'm from Chicago originally. I do come to the Midwest sometimes. So we'll see you then, Dee. We will see you November 13th through the 15th then. So, but one of the things that we have to, that I'm excited because every time I talk with you guys, my mind just go to the next level. And Stacy is steady being bad, showing the picture of Cookie Monster eating up cookies.
As
So, but this conference, is giving you, and it's going to empower you. You're gonna walk away ready to do something. See, we always go to conferences and they say things, but we're not ready to do anything. Right. But we need to be ready to do. These are going to
be actionable steps. Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And so, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be here to host it. And the $50 is only for the cost of what it's going to cost for these ladies to come into Milwaukee, the hotel room. We got to feed them, and I don't want to give them a bologna sandwich, so.
I mean, I do like bologna.
But, it's about, and then, we're going to, one of the things that I love about it is when you walk away, right? Especially the young people, I'm going to grab some young people's. I'm going to make sure that's my business. I don't care from 17 on up. I'm going to grab them and say, hey, listen, you need to take this course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do they have to be 18 to receive the honorary if they take the course?
I don't know. I can ask because he's in the Telegram group, so I can ask him.
Yeah, and let me know because of the fact that I'm going to get them to become just members of my PMA. And then we're going to have young people representing young people. My mind is just right now. So, You know, so I'm just grateful. Oh, she in California. I'm sorry for you. But
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna have pastors there. We're gonna have all kind of people there, and it's all about empower. This is the part I love. That I'm a empowered junkie. I love empowering people.
Right.
And not only that, but it's, you know, there's a lot of those conferences, like, again, you go away, you're pumped when you get there, but walk away, you're like, there's just no hope, right? There's like, how on earth? But this is, because of the way we're doing this, it's going to be actionable steps that will give you that hope. It's not a all or nothing, like 0 to 60, but it's these baby steps that will get you to where you need to be and help you find your mission and purpose in this world, in this kingdom, right? And
we're
because not everyone's
about the hype. We're not about just making you feel good and then shipping you home. You're gonna feel good, but you're also gonna have things that you can do when you get home or even before that will set you in motion. So.
Yep.
Yes, and then check this out, because when we take young people, right, and empower them now, they will never have to fear the police.
Yep.
They don't have to go in there and run their mouth.
Yeah.
Stacy, we're gonna extend your stay in Facebook jail. I'm pressing charges on you. Look at this. She got, let me see. I don't know if y'all see the Cookie Monster eating cookies.
Oh my goodness.
I can see him. Yes.
And y'all don't think that's mental abuse?
Nope.
No. Yeah.
So, you know, so empowering them to take control back, right? And to be able to be better and again, my mind is excited. I'm just running. But you guys, November the 15th, 16th, no, Lord
13th
Jesus.
13th through the 15th.
13th.
Wait, I was going to say, my husband just got the wrong days off, if that's the case.
No, I'm going to keep
some in Minnesota.
I'm going to keep you guys here or something. But people need to.
And if you come, you get bonus hugs from my little 8-year-old who absolutely loves people. So
yes. And there's the information you guys can call. We're not doing Eventbrite. You have to call to register. We will accept Cash App or cash for your registration, but we're not doing Eventbrite or anything.
Because we don't want to get shut down.
that tie with PayPal or any of those things. So you guys are more than welcome to.
My goodness. Sorry.
Somebody wants you back. So
my mom.
Oh, see, now
she's
she
like,
really
go
ain't.
for the 3-hour mark, Amber. You can't be on there anymore.
I know. Now she really ain't gonna let you come to Milwaukee. You won't even answer the phone. But everybody, we thank y'all for watching. We thank y'all for being with us. It has been a blessing, and we are just going to let you guys go. And I got some work to do because you guys done gave me another. I'm telling you, my vision.
It's every time.
My vision is now I understand why he gave me what he gave me. So I'm excited. So we thank you guys. Or if we don't, we'll be here another hour, and I can't afford to do that. So we love you guys, and we will. Wait a minute, let me set it up.
Are we staying on after the chat, or are we?
No, we can, and then we'll talk tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right. So everybody, we thank you guys, and we will talk to you guys later.
We got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. There's peace in the kingdom. Hey, yes it is. We got the key to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from within. We got the key to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from the Lord. No matter what you're going through, Jesus got the keys for you. You can bind things on earth, it shall be bound in heaven. You can lose things on earth, it shall be loose in heaven.